I am in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia right now. I have about 2 more weeks left here. I've been here for about a month and a half, and I'm headed to the Philippines. Next, I'm headed to the Philippines, and I'll be there for 2 to 3 months. Actually, definitely 3 months, maybe even 4 months. If this is your first time joining me, my name's Kevin. I've been traveling full time for almost 6 years now, and every year I've kind of traveled a different way. My first year I traveled in a group program called Remote Year, lived in a different country every 30 days. Then the pandemic hit, I bought an RV, a van, a Winnebago Travado. I started traveling in my van around the United States. I did that for about a year, hopped on a plane, went to Thailand, bought a motorbike, motorbiked around Thailand. And then last year I lived on nothing but cruise ships for an entire year, actually a little bit over a year. And now I'm just kind of country hopping. And then hold on one second. Lived on nothing but cruise ships for an entire year, actually a little bit over a year. Okay. Now I'm just kind of country hopping. Oh, hold on. All right, that should, let me know if you can still hear me. Because I think what happened is I have YouTube on in the background. And let me know if right now, if you can hear me, like right this second you can hear me. I want to make sure I didn't turn down my mic when I just turned down the volume on my phone. So I'll wait for someone to tell me if they can hear me. Okay, good, you can still hear me. Ooh, I thought I really screwed that up. I think I opened up my YouTube to get the link to put on Instagram, and I must have left it open. And so I started to hear myself in the background. I don't know if you could hear it, but I heard it. And at first I thought it was my iPad, but it's not. It was my mic. So some technical issues there, but now we're good. All right, so like I said, I've been traveling full time for 6 years now, and I've learned a lot of things along the way. For those that don't know, when I'm traveling like I am right now, I stay in almost exclusively Airbnbs, although I might start integrating some hotels in there in the future because I have a credit card called the IHG credit card, which has really good deals with credit card points. So you might see me in more hotels in the future. But yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know. Someone said, how's your day going? Michelle Henry. So it's not too bad. I got up really early this morning around 3:45 a.m. to watch my Rams play football, and they got absolutely destroyed by the Arizona Cardinals. And it kind of sucks when you get up that early to watch a game and it's over within like the first 10 minutes. And that's what happened this morning. So I watched my Rams get destroyed, and yeah, it wasn't a good way to start the morning. But you know what? I'm here, I'm relaxing. I have this beautiful view in the background of this lake and the Kuala Lumpur skyline, so I can't complain too bad. It happens. But but the 49ers lost, so that's a good thing. Our chief rival. All right, when you see me looking down, I'm looking at my chat here. We have 41 people in here. If you don't mind smashing that thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. It helps more people find the live stream. And if you have any questions, throw them out there. I figured, usually I start off with a little bit of a topic on these now, but I figured this week, because the last couple live streams I've had so many questions, I figured I would just throw it out there for questions right on the beginning. So Leo asks, whenever you talked about it, I thought it was a casual remote year. Didn't know it was a company. Looking into it now, yeah, it's a company called Remote Year. I actually have a friend of mine, and she's doing a 1-month program. I did a 1-year program, so I can't talk about the 1-month programs or I think they have a 4-month program as well. I did a 1-year program. I was with the same 30 plus people the entire time. We traveled together. We lived in a different country every 30 days, so it was amazing. There was 4 countries in Central and South America, 4 in Asia, 3 in Europe, and then we ended in South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa. So it was an amazing experience. But yeah, I really like Remote Year. I've actually contemplated doing it again. It's a great program for someone like me that is a solo traveler and an introvert, because it's kind of like cruising almost. You can tap into social interactions whenever you want to, but you don't have to. So they're always there for you if you want to tap into them. So it makes it really easy as an introvert to, when you feel like those social interactions, to get them. But yeah, Remote Year is a great program. I'd recommend it. If you go back to my old programs, I think I have a link where you get like $100 off. I don't even know anymore. It's in probably my old videos. Let's see. From Alaskan cruising to Thailand living, how long did it take you to flip your hours, since there's a huge time difference? So I was already on the West Coast of the United States, so that helped a little bit. Not that much, but a little bit. But to be honest with you, I flew business class, and so I just stayed up until it was, I think it would have probably been like, it still would have been earlier in Asia, in Bangkok, but it was still like later in the afternoon when I finally went to sleep on the plane. And so I did have that kind of helped. And then it's just, getting into your routine whenever you get somewhere. I've never had a huge problem with jet lag. It's always been pretty easy for me to get into the flow of things. I'm also an early riser. I get up usually between 4:30 and 5:30 every morning. So for whatever reason, that makes it easier, because that's usually where you're kind of, I don't know, you kind of get screwed up, is like when you wake up. And so, usually you'll wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And if that happens with me, it's fine. I'll just continue to stay up and then go to bed early, which I do already, and then wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. and I'm fine. So it's actually pretty easy for me to adjust. The view behind you is insane. It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It looks like it's really like hazy out there, but it's actually not. It's just the sun is really bright. It's rainy season, so it rains every day. So there's a cloud cover coming in, but yeah. Are you still traveling with one backpack? No, so I'm traveling with a level 8 carry-on only though. Carry-on only roller bag. I got that when I went cruising, because when you first check into a cruise ship, when you're carry-on only like me, you kind of got to lug your bag around for a long time before they have the staterooms ready, before they have your cabin ready. And it was just kind of a pain in the butt. And so I just got a roller case, and I like it. It's actually super easy. It's probably the best suitcase I've owned. And the reason for that is the wheels are really, really good on it. It's a pretty cheap brand too. It's called Level 8. There's a link to it down below. They have bigger ones too. I actually bought my mother the bigger one for our trip to Venice. And what I like about them is the wheels are so good. Like, it just glides through the airport. You don't have to put any pressure on it. It just glides. It's like effortless pushing your carry-on through the airport. It's a really good bag. So a really good backpack. So I haven't went back to the backpack, not saying that I won't in the future, but I haven't had an issue getting on any planes. And so I'm kind of like, I'll just continue to roll with this, because it's actually much easier on my back. I'm starting to get older. I'm, closing in on 50. So let's see. For a remote year, I plan to take classes while traveling. Do you think it's good for a part-time graduate student? So yeah, part of remote years, you get co-working access. So you'll have a co-working space to go to every day, where most of your remote year peers are going to go to anyway. And you could do your classes, your work there. It'll be a good environment for that. But your apartments will have good Wi-Fi no matter where you are. The whole genesis of the program was for digital nomads. Remember, I did it in 2019 before the pandemic, before working remotely was as common as it is now. And that's the whole genesis of that program, is for people who can work remotely but want this like shared travel experience, want someone else to handle the logistics of travel. So it was a great program. Hey, Nikki, thanks for doing this moderator stuff in here. I appreciate it. Byron Walker, he puts a bunch of A bunch of flames. I like that actually. That's a good way for me to identify questions. A bunch of flames. If you could live somewhere within a 5-hour flight from the United States because of an elderly parent, where would you live? There's a ton of places within 5 hours, to be completely honest with you. You have, I love Mexico City. It's amazing, especially if you live in one of the neighborhoods like Roma or something like that. I love it. Mexico City is great. I love Medellin, Colombia. I mean, and there's a lot of places I haven't explored too. I mean, Playa del Carmen, I actually prefer across the water over on the island of Cozumel personally, because I like a little bit more lower key. But yeah, Playa del Carmen's a good option down in Mexico. I mean, there are tons of options. I lived in Lima, Peru, which I thought was amazing. Cusco, I love Cusco. Cusco, Peru, I think would be really cool. If I was you, I would hop around to a bunch of different places. Maybe even with a program like Remote Year. I think they have a South American, Central American 4-month plan or something like that. And you can check out places maybe you wouldn't check out on your own. Like, I would have never went to Medellin, Colombia if it wasn't for Remote Year, and that's one of my favorite places in the world. So, yeah. Are you going to do more emojis and perk badges? I need to do that, Rich. I need to pay more attention to that. I don't even know what to do, to be honest with you. I don't know if it lets me go beyond the 3-year mark. I have to look at it again. It used to not, but I need to look at it and see if maybe they've changed it where they have badges. You can go beyond the 3-year mark with badges. I'll have to check, because the last time I messed with it, the most you could do is 3 years. So. Nikki says 51 now. Well, you look pretty young for 51. Me and Nikki are Facebook friends, so I know what she looks like. Can you do both a carry-on and a wheelie plus a small backpack? You probably could. I mean, some airlines will enforce that. Some airlines don't. I almost exclusively fly business class now because I have so many points from traveling this long. I just racked up the points. And I think that might have something to do with it, but I know I can bring like one carry-on, one backpack. I see people bring all kinds of stuff on in business class. So in business class, it hasn't been an issue for me. No one's ever even questioned me or asked or whatever. But I do, when I was traveling with Remote Year, I only had my backpack weighed once in my life, and that was in Vietnam. And I think it was Vietjet Air maybe, but that was a long time ago. I mean, that was back in 2019. And they weighed it. And then, oh yeah, back when there was WOW Air, I don't know if you remember WOW Air, it was a terrible low budget airline, but I got a really cheap ticket, me and my buddy. We got like a ticket for like $39 to Paris. And it was when I was in law school, and he was a military veteran guy like me, and we decided to just go for 4 days. It was like a 4-day weekend, 4 days to Paris. And there was like a WOW jet flight for $39. But that didn't include any luggage or anything. You had to pay like a ridiculous amount of money to have luggage. But you could have a small, it was like a 13-inch by 8-inch or something like that. And so because we were only going there for 4 days, I was like, well, I'll just roll up my stuff and put it all in this little carry-on bag. And I guess they had a weight limit. It was like 7 kilograms or something like that. And so they weighed it and they charged me like $200. But yeah, those are good old days. Let's see. Where am I now? I'm in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I've been here for almost a month and a half, a little bit over 6 weeks. I got 2.5 weeks left, and actually less than 2.5 weeks. And then I hop on a plane to the Philippines, and I'll be staying in Bonifacio Global City, BGC, in Manila, which is like a really cool, walkable neighborhood. I'm super excited about it. I'll be in, if you know anything about the BGC area, I will be in Uptown BGC. So it'll be pretty schwanky for me. It's one of the more expensive Airbnbs I've ever stayed in. Airbnbs are actually pretty expensive there. but it's got nice floor to ceiling windows like this, overlooking like their version of Times Square. And so it's in a really good location. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. I think it's like, I want to say it's like 12. I paid for it a long time ago. I want to say it's like $1,200 or $1,300 a month, which for me is a lot for Airbnbs. But it's in the exact location I want to be. Everything is in walking distance. I'll spend no money on transportation. It's going to be really, really simple. So it is what it is. Aside from the mainstream sites like Airbnb, Expedia, are there not so well-known sites to find travel accommodation? I would say Facebook. So jump into like wherever you want to go. There'll be a ton of Facebook groups that are dedicated to either long-term housing or short-term housing. And you can find a lot of stuff in Facebook. That's what I would use if I was going to long-term rent. Like I'm a member of a lot of Facebook pages like BGC Rentals, Bangkok Rentals, Jomtien Rentals, Chiang Mai Rentals. I'm a member of a lot of those, and I see them all the time, and I'm like, oh wow, I could live in this amazing place for $300 a month in Chiang Mai. And at some point I'll jump on one of those when I feel like being somewhere for a year. But yeah, I would say Facebook groups are really good. Let's see. Have you been to Malacca? I've been through the Straits of Malacca a million times in the military, but I've never actually been to Malacca. You should come to my city for the Harvest Music Festival, second weekend of September, every Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. It's the best. I'd love to do that. That's amazing. That means you just had it, right? So you just had it. Phil says, I know BGC. How do you like BGC, Phil? All right, I'm caught up on questions. 77 of you here in the chat. If you don't mind smashing that thumbs up button, I'd appreciate it. And throw your question out there. You can either put the flames, like someone did earlier. I like that. The flames make it really easy to find. Or a bunch of question marks and then ask your question. Makes it easy for me to find. My favorite Thai beer. So I don't really drink, but I spent a lot of Thailand in my youth, in my 20s. And I usually just drank like Changi or Shanghai, one of those two, whichever one was cheaper back when, this is when I was young and broke, so whichever one was cheaper. Was your Panama Canal an east to west or a west to east? I'm going west to east transition later this month. Did you stop in Cartagena? So I've done both. I've actually done a ton of Panama Canal cruises, most of them in the military. But on cruise ships, I've done four of them. Let's see. Actually I've done more than four because I've done partials. I don't know if you're counting partials. There are partials where you go in and then you come back out. So I've actually done more than four if you count partials. But full transits, I've done four. I've only done one west to east. That was from LA to Galveston when they were moving Ruby Princess to Galveston, Texas a couple years ago. But every single one I've done, every single Panama Canal cruise I've went to Cartagena. So yeah, I have been to Cartagena. It's great. It's awesome. I think I might have a video on Cartagena, maybe not. But there's definitely Cartagena video footage in a lot of my cruising videos. Phil says, I'm from the Philippines. I'm in New York right now, but we'll be there at the end of the month. Otherwise, I will invite you to my province in, I'm going to butcher this. Let's see. Quezon? Did I get it right? Quezon? Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love Filipino culture. It's one of the reasons I'm excited to get back there. I haven't been there since the early 2000s in the military, and so it's been a long time. I lived in Hawaii for almost 10 years. There's a huge Filipino culture in Hawaii. I'm sure you know that. A lot of expat Filipinos that moved to the United States, moved to Hawaii, and so there's a huge Filipino culture there. And then I was in the US Navy, which also has a huge Filipino culture. If you don't know, the US military had bases all over the Philippines for a long time, and one of the agreements they had was Filipinos could join the US military and get their citizenship really easily, and so a ton of them did. When I was in the Navy, especially in the beginning in the 90s, I'd say probably like 5 to 10% of the US Navy was Filipino. It's a huge percentage. So I'm very familiar with Filipino culture and Filipino food, and I love the Philippines. I'm excited to get back. And I really like what I've seen on the internet of BGC. That doesn't mean I'm going to like it when I get there in person, because I've been to places where I'm like, where it looked good on YouTube videos and then I wasn't a big fan of it. But is the window view real? Yeah, the window view is real, man. Yeah, it's real. See, I'm knocking on the window here. Yeah, it's real. Yeah, so BGC, I'm really excited about checking it out. I'm low key searching for some like longer term places, and I think BGC might be one of those places. It's really easy to get a visa there. Even I'll tell you about the visa I'm going to get next year. But the Philippines, you can stay there as a Westerner almost 3 years without having to leave. You just have to go and renew your visa. But each time you go renew your visa, it's a little bit longer. So when you arrive, you get like a 30-day, and then you can go and get it extended for like 6 months, or 60 days, so 90 days. And then when you go back again, you can get it for like 6 months, and then you can go back again and get it for like a year. And I think you can do that up to 3 years from what I'm reading on the interwebs. And so it's pretty easy. They also have a really good retirement visa for anybody, but they have a really, really good one for retired US military, because they have that connection, like I mentioned, with the US military. They have a visa specifically for retired US military personnel that receive a military pension. So I guess it's just easy for them to do your background check, and they know you have money coming in and you're not going to scam off the social security system there. Retire and Go's in the house. What's going on, man? One of my favorite YouTube channels, Retire and Go. He's got a great channel. He does a much better job at saving money than me, because he goes out and looks for places to stay, which I should do. I used to do that if you follow my channel for a while. But actually, when I first started traveling on my own after COVID, Airbnbs were super cheap because of COVID. And so it was actually really affordable to stay in Airbnbs. Like this Airbnb here, I think cost me $900 for the month. During COVID, this Airbnb would have been $250. So I think that kind of like got me locked into this Airbnb mindset back when it was super cheap, and I just haven't adjusted since it's gotten more expensive. But yeah, go check out Retire and Go's channel. It's a really good channel. One of my favorites, actually. One of my favorite YouTube channels. Have I been to Israel? Yeah, I've been to Israel many times. I was stationed in Gaeta, Italy on a ship. It was a flagship, which is like an ambassador mission type of ship. And we used to actually go to Haifa, Israel a lot. So I've been to Haifa a dozen times in my life. But I need to go back there and explore Jerusalem. And I mean, I did do like small little trips to like the Dead Sea and Jerusalem, but I didn't really appreciate it as much as I think I would now, back when I was in my early 20s. It was more, Israel's also, a lot of people don't realize this, Israel's also a big party place. And so when I was in my early 20s, it was more about partying than going to historical sites. Phil said, how long will I be there? So I'll be in, I think you're talking about the Philippines. I'll be in BGC for at least 3 months. I'm booked in my Airbnb for 109 days, I believe. And so over 3 months, I might stay longer if I enjoy it. I plan on doing some island hopping while I'm there, like using my condo as my home base, but visiting some like beachy areas. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Have you considered live streaming on Kick? Chocolate Man has recently made the jump over. Yeah, I used to have Kick a long time ago. I'd have to look at it. I don't even know, like, yeah, I'd have to look at it. I don't even know why people are switching there. I guess maybe it's better or something, but yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I saw that he's doing that now. Philippines is not like Thailand or Malaysia beyond BGC. It's very impoverished. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I went there a lot in the 2000s, and it's like, to me, I mean, yes, there are a lot of impoverished areas in there, but there's also, Manila's pretty well developed, and there's other well developed cities there as well. I mean, there's a lot of impoverished areas in Thailand too. I mean, I drove all around the rural areas in Thailand, and there are definitely some impoverished areas. But hey, I'm from Missouri, man. There's a lot of impoverished areas in the Midwest in the United States as well. There's a lot of trailer parks with some people doing pretty bad, you know. So, not that there's anything wrong with trailer parks. There's not. I'm just saying, like, there's less fortunate areas almost anywhere I've ever been, including my own country. That window view is real. Yeah, it's real. It looks like it's more foggy out there than it is because of the, because the sun's bright, and then, the screen captures my face, and so, but it's actually really, it's not super clear out there like cloud cover wise, but it's clear like everything else. That's actually a really cool park. That's where I get my steps in the morning. I go walk around that park. Yeah, that's my big thing now. My big thing about places I stay, and maybe it's why I spend more than some people, is I am really all about the view. Like, I don't care about the size of the place. Like, I actually prefer studio apartments over one bedrooms. I like everything in one area. I don't mind small, like, studios. I just want a spectacular view. That's what I care about. So I try to hunt the places with the amazing views. My last Airbnb here in Malaysia, it had an okay city view, but not that great. I mean, this one obviously has a beautiful view. And then my next place in BGC has more of a like Manhattan type of view, which I like as well. I like those type of city views as well. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I had that amazing place in Jam Tien that was floor to ceiling windows on like 3 of the 4 walls I had, and it was all ocean. All you could see was ocean. I was on like the 40th floor or something, and all you could see was ocean for miles. For miles. It was amazing. Phil says, my friend has a condo in BGC. I can ask her if she'll rent it. Yeah, I'm interested. What building is it in? I know all the buildings pretty well, and I know which ones have the floor-to-ceiling windows. Not all of them do. And if I'm going to rent a place where I can get more value for my money, I really like to get, it's going to cost me a little bit more, but I'm going to get views like this. Like a view like this, I mean, this is like, I shouldn't use this as an example, but I will. Like in New York, if I had a view like this in New York City and Manhattan, I mean, this place would be $15,000 a month for this place. Maybe even more than that, actually. I lived in a little hole in the wall place in New York when I lived there, and it was $4,000 a month. So, and it did not have a view of anything but like a brick wall 4 feet away from my window. So. Kevin, any thoughts on Panama City, Panama, or any location in Panama. So I've never been to Panama, so I can't really speak to it. But I mean, it's super famous as a place that expats go, especially US people that want to retire there, get more bang for their buck, and have an easy flight back to the United States. So, yeah. Hey, Deborah's in the house. What's going on, Deborah? How you doing? Traveling Froggy is headed back to Phuket, I think, next week. He has a place there that he keeps for the time he is there. That's cool, man, that he has. I didn't know he had a place there. I need to ask him about that and see if whenever I'm in Phuket and he's not there, I'll just crash there. I remember when in Phuket during COVID, I could stay at the Phuket Hilton for under $1,000 a month. So I could be at the Hilton Hotel on the beach for under $1,000 a month during COVID. I bet you now it'd probably be $8,000 for the month. Which countries in Southeast Asia practice queuing, getting in orderly lines to board trains, boats, etc.? So the only one I've ever encountered, and this isn't Southeast Asia, that do that, that's orderly about it, is Japan. Now, something they do in Thailand that's interesting is they leave something in the line at their spot, and then they leave. They'll leave a shoe, they'll leave a handbag, a purse, they'll leave their wallet, they'll leave a phone, they'll leave something. And so sometimes you'll see, like you'll go up to a store you want to go into, and there'll be this big line of stuff, and that's the line. And sometimes there'll be absolutely no people in it. It'll just be stuff for a long line. I've seen it at a Starbucks before, and I'm like, what the? And you know, I didn't know. I went and I was like, I thought it was some artistic expression or something. I just walked right past it and tried to go order, and then I got yelled at. But yeah, and say it like when you go to immigration in Thailand, you'll see that a lot. Philippines is 30 days, then a 29-day extension, then 2 months, 6 months. Oh, 6 months has been withdrawn. I'm curious to see, because I've heard it varies based on where you're at in the Philippines, and sometimes you can get that 6-month one. But if I can't get it, that's fine. So I'll have to do, I've never done that in the Philippines, and that's always a pain in the butt. I hope there's a satellite immigration office in BGC. I hope so, fingers crossed. I don't even know. I figured when I get there, I'll figure it out. And but you said 30 days, then a 29-day extension, then 2 months. So I would have to go twice to immigration then during my stay. I have a question. How are you? I'm doing great. I appreciate it. I'm doing great. I'm enjoying life, just relaxing here in Malaysia, enjoying the food. I am ready to leave though. I'm kind of a little burnt out. Both of the areas I picked, they're okay, but they aren't super walkable. I thought this one was going to be super walkable, but you can't really see it, but there's a highway right here. So it's actually not easy to get over there. It's actually kind of a pain in the butt to get over there. And my building is super nice and walkable. There's a grocery store. In this building I'm living in right now, there's a grocery store, 2 7-Elevens, 2. There's a 7-Eleven, and then 3 doors down, there's a 7-Eleven. So there's 2 big 7-Elevens. There's also another convenience store that's not a 7-Eleven, but exactly the same. Like if I go down in the elevator right now, I will walk out of my elevator and be in the convenience store. So it's very convenient. You know, I could go down there in my house slippers if I wanted. And there's a Burger King also in my building. I could just walk into the Burger King without leaving my building. There is a grocery store, like a big grocery store, kind of like a Whole Foods or Trader Joe's type of place, and a bunch of other like mom and pop type of restaurants that are pretty good. And actually across the street over there where you see all those roofs, right there, there's like a whole line of different restaurants and stuff. All local mom and pop restaurants. But again, it's a kind of a pain in the butt to get over there. So it's not as walkable as I had hoped. I'm really, like one of the things I'm doing right now with this travel that I'm doing is scouting out places that I might want to stay for 3 to 6 months in the future, or maybe even longer. And I'm looking for the ultimate walkable type of place. Last month I stayed in Thailand at a True Digital Park, which was very walkable and nice. I liked it. I wouldn't necessarily say it was perfect, like everything I'm looking for. Like, I'm not a big nightlife person, but I want to at least have access to it, and it didn't have that. You have to get on the train and ride 30 minutes to get any kind of nightlife. So I want that option in my fingertips. And so I think BGC is actually going to be, living in Uptown BGC, I think is going to be more of what I'm looking for. So yeah, so this place and my last place, both places, while in the heart of the city, had like highways and rivers and stuff like that, like breaking them off from the rest of the city, making it very inconvenient for it to be walkable. So I need to come back here and try like somewhere else, because both these places I'm staying, I wouldn't stay here long term. Not that I don't like it, I like it, like the park's beautiful and everything, the view's great, but I'm looking for something that's like the ultimate walkability. Like everything that I want is within a 2-minute walk. Food, groceries, everything. So yeah, and very walkable and pleasant. Roy says they're getting stricter on long-term tourist visas. To stay long-term, it's all changed, I believe. That's good to know, Roy. Yeah, I'm fingers crossed that, not fingers crossed, when I have to wait till I'm 50 and then I can get a long-term visa there for very inexpensive. So I'm actually excited about that. Having Thailand and the Philippines as options to stay long-term without having to worry about visas. What's the name of the website that has a searchable database of nomad travelers around the world? They have a searchable city database that gives cost. It's called Nomad List, L-I-S-T, Nomad List. It's one of my favorite websites to get ideas for places to go. It really is. It's probably something I'll do next year. I'm going to do some cruising next year, but I'm also going to go stay in some places that I haven't stayed at yet. I think I'm going to go live in Iceland for a month or two in the winter, which I think will be interesting. Why the winter? I like off-peak time, and Airbnbs are a lot more affordable. Maybe I will absolutely hate it, but we'll see. That's why I do these things. Phil's going to Egypt, Istanbul, and India. That's amazing. Kev, when you are working out and walking, will you be doing videos? I won't be doing live streams because I have my US phone service, which only gives me 5 gigabytes, and I would eat that up pretty quickly on live stream. Maybe in the Philippines I'll get a card, but I really don't need one there either. So we'll see. But yeah, I've been like trying to come up with ideas. Like I really like Retire and Go's format, where he just does the walk and talk videos, which I've never done. I always have like videos with a lot of B-roll over the top, and I've just kind of gotten burnt out on doing that kind of video. But I think I might try that, like run and gun style, like Retire and Go does, or even like global or grounded life travel and grounded life finances. I might do what they do and just sit here and talk like this in a video. So, but I've always been like a big B-roll person. Don says you didn't have a great view in the inside of the ship. People always say that. I got another comment about that on my YouTube channel today about, oh, I couldn't stay in an inside cabin. All I do is sleep there. I don't stay in the inside cabin. I don't spend any time in my cabin on a cruise ship just for sleeping. The whole cruise ship is my oyster. And I get up early in the morning and the ship is basically abandoned early in the morning. And so I basically have these amazing vista views, eating my breakfast early in the morning out on a veranda, overlooking the ocean and sunrise without any disturbances. Like I don't understand paying for a balcony unless you're going to spend a lot of time in your cabin. If you're going to spend a lot of time in your cabin, it makes perfect sense. For me, it makes zero sense because the only time I'm in my cabin is when my eyes are closed. So what's the point of having a balcony cabin? I have the whole cruise ship. I can have a balcony anytime I want. So I know people hate that. Hate that I love inside cabins, but I don't see the point of having a balcony. I had a balcony. I got upgraded to a balcony and I thought it was a waste because I didn't spend any time on the balcony or use it yeah. Do I remember how much my condo was in Jomtien? I would love to play a place like that. So if you watch that video, I think it was $370 a month. And that was all inclusive. That was everything, utilities and everything. So yeah, I think it was $370. And that was through Airbnb. So Airbnb fees and all that stuff too. But now you can't, there's no way you can get a place in the building's called the Cetus. There's no way you can get a place in there short term for that price. You could still find a unit similar to mine for probably around $500 a month on a long-term lease, but you're not going to find an apartment in the Cetus on Airbnb for the price I paid. You're probably going to be closer to $2,000. Partly it's because of my video. So my video kind of made that place really popular, and I'm not like bragging on myself. That video just did really well. I think it's got like 1 million views or something like that. So it made that place really, really popular. I know my buddy Johnny FD is going to Jomtien, and he rented a place further down than the Cetus, and I want to say he's spending $300-400 a month on his, and it's a nice place. It's got a nice sea view. I might go there when he's there. He's going to be there after January, so when I leave the Philippines. I'm going to Hawaii though, and then I'm probably going to go visit my mother. And then I was thinking of doing the cruise ship thing then. But I've always wanted to meet up with Johnny. I've never met him in person, but we've corresponded for a long time. I've been on a lot of his shows. I've been on Invest Like a Boss, Travel Like a Boss. And so I'd like to meet him in person. He was one of the inspirations for me traveling full-time, Johnny FD. And he was like one of the first person that did like condo tours in Thailand, like long before Cheap Charlie and all those guys got famous in Thailand. Johnny FD was doing like Chiang Mai condo tours, and he kind of put Chiang Mai on the map for digital nomad. I'm not saying he put it on the map for people in general, but as far as like the digital nomad hub, he's one of the reasons why it turned into that. Did you get your men's health thing done yet? Yeah, I did. They would not allow any filming, which was disappointing because I was actually going to do a video. But yeah, I went to Prince Court. I got all my blood work, MRI, all kinds of crazy things, and I'm fit as a fiddle, which makes me super happy. I feel really confident in my health when I go there. So when I go there and get my health work done. I do want to try out the one in the Philippines at St. Luke's. So I'm from St. Louis, and we have Barnes Jewish, which is really popular, in St. Luke's there. And so I want to try the St. Luke's, which is a private hospital it's actually in Bonifacio Global City, I believe. So I want to try their men's health thing there. So I might just do it again in a few months and do it there to see what it's like, and maybe I'll film that one if they let me. The one thing that I've never, you guys know I'm retired military, and I did 20 years, so I get health care because I'm retired. I don't have to go to the Veterans Administration, the VA, and I never have in my life because, I mean, I don't know why I would go there. I have private health care. I have TRICARE for life through Humana, and it's really low cost, it's like $15 a month, and I get to choose my doctor. I don't have to go to the VA and deal with whatever doctor's on duty. I have my doctor. So I've never used it. But the Philippines has a VA hospital. I think it's the only foreign country with a Veterans Administration hospital in it. And so I might go and register for the VA just to see how that works. If I might make the Philippines a home base, like it might be good to have access to that and have zero cost healthcare in the Philippines. So I might do that. But I've never used the VA in my life, so I don't even know if I can register over in the Philippines for it at that hospital. If anybody knows, let me know. But I've never registered with the VA, so I don't even know. I should have already done that. I've been retired since 2015. I should have registered for the VA already, but I just never saw a need to do it. So, but I need to do that. Transportation can be very frustrating in the Philippines. Flights are often delayed. Ferries can be too. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm flying Malaysia Air over to the Philippines. And I've had really good luck with Malaysia Air. I love it. I love their business class, and it's pretty affordable business class. And I can get it through Chase's travel portal system. So I don't have to do any point conversion or anything like that. I can just book it with points on there. So that's what I've done. Merriam Vlogs did a lot of BGC content. You should reach out to him. I should reach out to him. I have watched a lot of his videos. He is one of the reasons I am going there. I watched his videos. He does really good cost videos for BGC, and he does really good condo tour type of videos. And then he does some areas outside of BGC just to get a comparison. But he seems like he's a lot like me in what he desires in a location. And he's one of the reasons I'm like, well, I think I might like this BGC. I also really like ABC Philippines, which is Always Be Changing. They have two different YouTube channels, one big one, but one devoted to their life in the Philippines, which is an American family that moved over to BGC, and Mom Duty, which is also an American family that moved over to BGC, although the husband is, what do they call it? Benabilik, something like that. He's Filipino that immigrated to the United States when he was really young. I think he did with his parents. And so he can come back to the Philippines and get a long-term visa or whatever. Anyway, they also moved to BGC with their family. They have 2 kids. So I really I don't know why I like the family channels, but I do. I like Mom Duty, I like ABC. Using the word wholesome is the wrong thing, but I like getting that perspective of, hey, this is why we moved our family here, and we're comfortable living here with our family. As I get older, safety becomes even more important to me. I like a place that I can walk around, do my long 20,000 step walks and never have to worry about safety issues. And so that's one thing that's important to me. Not that other places aren't safe, but BGC just seems super safe. Plus it's super walkable. I mean, they have these 20-foot sidewalks everywhere, very little traffic, and everything's at your fingertips. So I'm super excited to try it. I haven't been there yet. And maybe I get there and I'll hate it, but we'll see. Going Green Mom's in the house. What's going on, Going Green Mom? You have too many admins, just saying. Yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate that even though I've been on and off with how much I make YouTube content, the moderators have always showed up. People like Nikki, people like Going Green Mom, they've always showed up and supported me, and I can't thank them enough. So Kaylee used to be all the time. I know she's not been on YouTube as much, but I've had some really great moderators, and I can't thank them enough. And I always tell them, you don't have to do it, but I appreciate it. BGC is a bubble, a decent condo won't be cheap, and a taxi ride, and it's a taxi ride to Makati. Yeah, I'm totally aware, Roy, that BGC is a bubble. Absolutely, I know that, and a lot of people use that as like in like a negative connotation, but I have a lot of Filipino friends from my time, and they all say they love BGC. And I always say, well, it's not really the Philippines. And they're like, they kind of take offense to it. They're like, what? We can't have nice areas? Like, it's a Filipino area. It's full of Filipinos. 99% of the people that live there are Filipinos. Everybody that works there is Filipino, that commute in to work at JP Morgan Chase and all the places. They're basically like, that's offensive. It's just a nice area of the Philippines. Just like Beverly Hills is a nice area of LA. I mean, I guess you could say Beverly Hills is a bubble, but it's just part of LA, right? And so that's what their take to me was. And they also said some of the best Filipino restaurants are in BGC, like mom and pop Filipino restaurants. So we'll see. I haven't been there, so I can't really judge it. But if you know me, you know I don't mind bubbles. I loved True Digital Park in Bangkok. So I don't mind a good bubble if it's done well. Why not stay in KLCC? So I was kind of in KLCC before, but I was across the river. I didn't know, to be honest with you, when I booked like a pretty affordable place. My last place was only $600 for the month, which I know sounds expensive to some people, but $600 for a condo all inclusive that has a pool and a gym and all that stuff. It's actually pretty affordable right now in the Airbnb world. But yeah, I was in KLCC. I walked to the towers every single day, but I wasn't in the most convenient location. So next time I'll try to get in a more convenient location, to be honest with you. And this is Ampang, I believe is what it's called. And I watch a YouTube channel, and he lived here, and he really, really liked it. And so I was like, well, let me give it a try. And I think he actually mentioned that there was a highway there and everything, so I'm not blaming him. And it's not that I don't like this place. It's just not as walkable as I would prefer. I want more walkable. And so I want a 100 out of 100 walkability score. That's what I want. I don't want anything less than that where I go. When off duty, can you just wander around the aircraft carrier to explore? Yeah. When you're on an aircraft carrier, and you're not working, you're off duty, which isn't really a thing, but it's the only time you're really off duty is to sleep. You work all day. You work all day, 7 days a week on ships. It sucks. It's why that life is so tough. But you don't really get any time off. But the only people that get time off are people that, if they don't sleep enough, it can negatively impact their job and like death. Like pilots need a certain amount of sleep time, people who work on the flight deck, but most other people, they'll just work you to death. As long as you won't die from being overworked, you're just gonna work 24/7. So you just get time off to sleep. But you can walk around the carrier and explore anytime you want. The only places you can't go, like just walk in, are the nuclear reactor area and like the combat information center is what they call it, because those places have need to know stuff, classified stuff that's need to know. So you won't be walking in any of those places, and you won't be walking on the flight deck during flight operations. Now, if flight operations aren't going on, you can walk around the flight deck. You can go up there. I used to go jogging on the flight deck. You can go jogging on the flight deck. We used to hold 5Ks on the flight deck. So yeah, you can walk around the ship. A Navy ship is not like a cruise ship though. It's just industrial. It's like being in an industrial building. It's just full of pipes, and there's no beauty other than the view you get when you're topside of the ocean and things like that. But it's very industrial and steamy and noisy and smelly and oily, and it would be like living underneath the hood of your car engine. I ate a brekkie sitting on my balcony and love sitting there and reading. I get that, Dawn. I get that people want to eat breakfast on their balcony. But on Princess, if you don't know, if you're elite, you're a certain level of elite, you can go to breakfast at Sabatini's, and I just sit on the back of the ship with the wake view in the morning, and it's gorgeous, and they bring my breakfast to me, and I'm usually the only one out there because people don't get up early on cruise ships. And I have this wake view, usually a little rainbow maybe, or the sunrise. And so like, for me, I can get that anyway without having to pay for the balcony. But I get it. I get why people love the balcony. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I don't spend any time in my cabin. So it doesn't make any sense for me. Nikki's going to bed. Good night, Nikki. Thanks for showing up. Any plans on doing any roughing it trips? So Leo, I did that for a lot of my life, travel. I've been traveling my whole life, basically. I mentioned I was in the Navy for 20 years and I did almost all sea duty. And I was traveling the world, roughing it, doing that. And then I roughed it a little bit with remote year. I actually wouldn't call roughing it with remote year, but you do share like an Airbnb. You don't share a bedroom, but you do share like an apartment. And then when I was backpacking through Thailand, I was staying in a lot of lower cost places, but I've done that. I've done the backpacking, I've done the hostel stuff, and I'm almost 50 now, and it's just not something that interests me anymore. I get why people like it. I know it would be great content. People love my most popular content on here was van life. Second most popular is actually cruise life, but which I guess van life is kind of roughing it as well. But yeah, I like a little luxury in my life now, and I can afford it. Like I can't take my money with me. I don't want to die with it, so I might as well spend it. So yeah, since I can afford places with views like this, with nice pools and stuff like that, I'm gonna do that. When I go back to Jom Tien at some point, I'm going to stay. I'm definitely going to rent this Airbnb in the. It's in that new place, Copacabana, and it is a 1-bedroom apartment with a pool in the apartment that goes out onto the balcony. And basically, it's like an infinity pool, small one, but it's inside the apartment. It goes from inside the apartment to outside the apartment onto the balcony. And it's this long pool. And I'm gonna rent that. I'm gonna shell out the money that it costs for a month, and I'm gonna stay there for a month. Because I just think it would be cool to do, you know, like, and live there. And I'm not gonna stay there forever and spend that ridiculous amount of money, but I think I'm gonna do it for 1 month. But only the 1-bedroom. The 2- and 3-bedroom versions of that are way too expensive. But the 1-bedroom is actually not super expensive. But yeah, I don't, if anything, Leo, hey, Andrea Gold's in the house. What's going on, Andrea? I didn't even see you in here. And she's also a great moderator. And my cruise buddy, we spent a lot of time together on the Sky Princess cruise ship. I met Andrea on there, and she's been a great friend and cruise buddy, and and she's on here doing moderation, so I appreciate that. I'm going back to your roughing it question. If anything, you will see me doing the opposite of that and going the opposite way. When I first quit my job, for those that don't know my background, I was in the military for 20 years. I retired, so I get a military pension, right, for the rest of my life, which is great. But I grew up in a lower income family, and I was always into investing. Before I graduated high school, I was watching like CNBC when I got home from school, and learning about the stock market and real estate investing. I read all kinds of books like by Robert Allen, if you know who that is. And I read like books by Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch. And I knew that when I started making my own money, I was going to invest. And so I started investing in 1994 at the age of 19 when I finally got out of boot camp and was in the military, getting a paycheck. I got an E-Trade account, and I've been investing ever since. And at some point, I started focusing on dividend income investing, and so I built up a nice dividend portfolio that's actually way more than my retirement income from the military. And so I have that source of passive income that just gives me money every month. And then I have a rental property. I used to have multiple rental properties, but now I only have one. It's completely paid off though, so that's completely cash flow. I have this YouTube channel that even if I don't make very many videos, my old videos still make money. So it'll make, you know, $1,500, $2,000 a month, even if I don't do anything. If I go full bore on it, making cruise videos, I can make, you know, $5,000 to $10,000 a month doing it. So it's a nice little side income there. That it took me a while to get that. It wasn't overnight. It took me a couple of years to build my YouTube channel up to that. But now it just kind of runs on its own. So I have multiple different passive income sources out there that that fund my travel, and I still invest them every single month. It's one of my favorite pastimes. But I've made a pledge to myself to start spending a little bit more money. I'm not even dipping into my pile of cash. You know, I'm just spending more of the passive income I have coming in. So I made a vow to myself to do that, and not to always look for the $250 apartment that maybe doesn't have this view, and maybe spend a little bit more and get the view. So, but will I stay in the $250 a month apartments again? I'm sure I will. If I go to Chiang Mai, I know I can get a nice apartment in Niman for $200 to $300 a month, and so I probably would do that. And I know someone's going to say, well, why don't you do that on cruise ships? Because it's so much more expensive on cruise ships to get the balcony over the inside cabin. And I'm getting a high enough in my rank in Princess that now I might get the free upgrades a lot. So yeah. Phil says St. Luke's is great. I'm excited to try it. I heard the VA can be a pain. Yeah, I've heard that too, which is why I've never used it. You'll have a lot of advantages being a vet in the military. You should research what your entitlements are. Yeah, I should do that. Are there any alternatives for Chase in Canada? I don't know any. You'll have to ask the chat. Maybe we got some Canadians in there that can give you a good travel points credit card system, but I don't know any for Canada. Did you say you do 20,000 steps per day? Yeah, I do 10 to 20. When I was in weight loss mode, I was doing 20,000 steps a day. Now it's 10 to 20. Sometimes more. I mean, I've had 30,000 step days here in Malaysia, but usually it's somewhere between 10 and 20,000. Never under 10,000 though. Let's do the El Camino. I have a lot of friends that do the El Camino. I should do it. It's something that I would love to do. I love walking, so I know it's something that I would love to do. I have a friend, she does it all the time, man. She does it like once every 2 years. I need to do it. I need to do it. I need to figure it out and go do it. Made the big switch from AT&T to T-Mobile in preparation to my trip to Southeast Asia. Did you ever find a need to buy SIMs or eSIMs in different countries? No. T-Mobile just works everywhere, for those who don't know. And I haven't felt the need to buy any SIMs. One month when I did a live stream, I had to buy the 15 gigabytes, so I had to pay an extra $50, but that was my own fault. The 5 gigabytes has been more than enough to last the month if you're just doing normal stuff. As long as you're on Wi-Fi when you're in your apartment, like right now I'm on Wi-Fi shooting this video. But yeah, for me it's been fine. If you have the plan with the 5 gigabytes, you're gonna get the 2G automatically, But if you have the plan, which is like an extra $15 or something like that a month, then you'll get the 5G in all the foreign countries as well. And then if you need to, you can purchase either the day pass, the week pass, or the monthly pass, and you can get it bumped up. Or they have a plan actually where you can just get the whole bumped up thing. But I think it's the exact same price as the add-on. So I don't see the point of it. I can just add the add-on if I need it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I haven't needed in all my travels on cruise ships where I was going to a bunch of Scandinavian countries and Europe and South America and Central America, and now over here in Asia, I have not needed a SIM card at all, zero. My phone has worked in every country. Have I tried Get Your Guide yet, or Viator Tours to get more immersive experiences? So I like Airbnb experiences. So you can find a lot of the same stuff you find on Viator, on Airbnb, and it's just easier, I think, for me because I'm so familiar with that platform. And so I've just used Airbnb experiences for that type of stuff, and I do that type of stuff. I haven't done it in Malaysia, but I did a couple of them in Thailand. And then when I went to Venice with my mother, we did a couple of them. So yeah, I have definitely done that and I enjoy them. Have I been to Penang? Yes, I have been to Penang. I love it. I need to get back there. For those who don't know, Penang is like an island connected to the mainland of Malaysia, but still an island, and it has its own kind of uniqueness about it. It's very British, very colonial looking. And yeah, I need to get back there. And it's much more affordable than KL. KL is still super affordable. I would say KL is more affordable than Bangkok now, especially for rental units. But yeah. Remember, all these places that I'm going to and spending, like this apartment right here is $900 for the Airbnb for the month. If I rented this apartment in here, it would be $400 to $500 a month. I think this one would be $400. So it'd be $400 US a month, plus another $100 for internet and utilities. So $500 a month all in. If I rented this just myself without Airbnb long term, it would be about $500 a month. And you can find a place with a great view here in Malaysia for $250 for the month. It won't be as new of a building as I'm in with like the infinity pool and the gym and all that stuff, but it'll still be pretty nice. Where do you typically walk? Right there. That lake is much bigger than it looks. It's a pretty long walk around that thing. But yeah, I just go right there. Daily Fitness says, how much are you spending per month in KL? Do you find it significantly more expensive than Thailand? I find it significantly cheaper than Thailand now. I would say they used to be neck and neck, but the housing costs in Thailand is one up for really nice units where it's still pretty affordable. A unit like this with this kind of view in Thailand and this type of new building, probably be $700 a month now in Bangkok. Now, if you were down in like Jom Tien, this unit would probably be, and I'm talking long term here, this unit would probably be, I don't know, 400 maybe. So if you're in a place like Jom Tien, somewhere like that, then it's going to be cheaper. But if you're comparing Bangkok to Kuala Lumpur, which are comparable cities, I'd say Kuala Lumpur is cheaper now. Food's cheaper. Just everything seems to be a little bit cheaper. And housing is definitely cheaper, long-term housing. But I'm still spending under $2,000, even when I try to spend. I eat out every single meal. I'm eating a lot of Western food over here because they have like Five Guys. I shouldn't be eating Five Guys, but I am. I should be eating more Malaysian food, which I am eating a lot of Malaysian food, but I love Five Guys hamburgers. And so I've been eating some Five Guys, and I know I can't get it anywhere else. You can't wander around the blue tiles on aircraft carriers. That's a good point. Blue tile is usually like where the admiral lives and his staff. So. Sabatini breakfast is usually for suite guests. It's for suite guests, but also at a certain level of elite, they let you there. They were letting me there because I was one of the like top 25 people or whatever. And so I was able to get the breakfast at Sabatini's. I see you quite like Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, any country in Asia you haven't been that you would like to go. So I've been to a lot. I haven't been to Cambodia, so I really need to go to Cambodia. I spent some time in Laos. I spent some time in Vietnam. I lived in Hanoi for a month. Let's see. Thailand. I'm trying to think where else around here. Around this part of Asia. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, definitely Cambodia I need to go to. I've heard great things about it. I mean, I've heard it's like becoming the new Thailand or whatever. You know, there's always a new Thailand. So I heard it's becoming the new Thailand. But I really love Laos. But Laos is really like less developed. Less developed. Did you do something fun for your birthday? Asked Jen and Tommy. No, I'm pretty boring. I didn't do much. Someone's speaking in a foreign language, which I don't understand. I actually stayed in the PT residence in Chiang Mai after watching your video. Yeah, I like that place. The owners are really nice. And the place next to it, which one is PT? Is PT the one that the gray building, or is that the one across the parking lot? They own both of them. So the gray building is a little bit more expensive than the other building, but it's a little bit nicer. And you get cleaning every once a week or twice a week or something like that. Can't remember which one's which, but one of them's a little bit cheaper. Actually, not a little bit, a lot cheaper. Like one's like $300 to $400 a month, and the other one's like $150 to $200 a month. And the thing I like about those places is they're inexpensive, but they're also right in the heart of Niman and in walking distance to the mall. I really like it. Rodin says hotels have much more appeal for me. I get that. My only bugaboo about hotels is laundry. I own a lot of merino wool, and I don't like sending it out because they'll shrink it to about this big. And so I really like having a place with a washer. And so usually I stay in Airbnbs with washers. Leblon in Rio is very walkable. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check that out, BMAC. How often do you need new walking shoes? So it's been about every 6 months for me. I bought some really good ones this time, some Hokas, and the bottoms of Hokas are like this thick. They seem like they're gonna last a while, so we'll see. But they also are expensive. James says, I'm still in Thailand. It's a simple life. Yeah, Thailand's great. Like, I mean, obviously I bought a 20-year visa in Thailand. It's a place I love to be. You know, my favorite time of year in Thailand is the winter months, I guess the US winter months in Chiang Mai. It's nice and cool there in like October, November, December, especially at nights. It's nice and cool in Chiang Mai. I really like it. I see Freedom Mobile in Canada has an international plan. That's cool. I always feel bad for Canadians that they just can't come across the border and get stuff. Grounded Life Travel recommended a portable router. I mean, if you got the Wi-Fi package and you know how to, it's pretty easy to switch devices now, the one device package. I don't really think you need a router. But if you're there with other people and you have to switch back and forth all the time between the two of you, then that's probably why they have a router. But a single person that has the package, I wouldn't get it. I wouldn't bring a router. If you have T-Mobile service, you can buy a local SIM with data instead of buying the T-Mobile 5G add-on, yeah, definitely you can do that. Or you can use Airlo or something like that. Airlo is pretty affordable as well, and it's just really easy to do on your phone. I just like the convenience of it. I know I could save money, just go get a SIM card. But my phone just works everywhere with T-Mobile, and I don't really need to use the add-on. I haven't had to use it at all except for once, and it was my own fault. So I just don't see the point of it, to be completely honest with you. I don't see the point of going and getting a SIM card and all that stuff. If I was going to do a local SIM card, I'd probably just use Airlo. I wouldn't go to a place and get a SIM card. I just use an eSIM and be done with it, just for the convenience of it. Maybe you spend a few more dollars, but I mean, if you're pinching pennies and you need to cut costs, then yeah, go get a SIM card. Or if you're staying like long term, like if I was going to stay in Thailand long term, I'd probably go get a SIM card. I'd probably have when I was there for the year, I had a SIM card. I'd do that for sure. But T-Mobile's so convenient now, and it's just going to get better. They have like a deal coming up with Starlink. It's just going to, like, global coverage is going to keep getting easier and easier as satellite, low Earth orbit satellites come into play with that. And so it's eventually you're not even going to need cruise ship packages because your phone is just going to work anywhere you are in the world. So yeah. Do you have an unlocked phone? Yeah, I've never not had an unlocked phone, but that's because I've been a traveler for a lot of my life. I just buy my phone. I've never had a locked phone. I usually buy mine. I'm an Apple guy. I buy mine directly from Apple, and so I haven't bought a phone from a carrier in a long time. So my phone's always unlocked. Lieutenant Dave says, good morning from the Philippines. My wife and I will be checking out Thailand for a possible second home in Southeast Asia. BKK is looking good. Yeah, man, I love BKK. Check out Hoi Hin. Check out Phuket. Check out Jam Tien. Like, go and get a bunch of different vibes and see what you like. I love Bangkok, but I like big cities. I also love Jam Tien because I like the beachy places. I haven't spent a lot of time in Hoi Hin. I need to, but yeah, I'll be in the Philippines in 2 weeks, man. BGC, I'm excited about it, and I'm doing that to possibly have the Philippines as my back and forth. Like I have a long-term visa to Thailand, and then I can get a long-term visa in the Philippines pretty affordably when I turn 50, and so I plan on having both those if I like BGC and I like the Philippines, which I'm sure I'm going to. But we'll see. Do I keep up with what's going on in the U.S.? I mean, I check the news. I mean, I'm a big CNBC guy. I'm a big financial porn person, so I listen to CNBC. I watch or listen to CNBC every single night as I'm going to sleep when the market is opening. And so, of course, I get exposed to the tomfoolery that's going on in the United States right now, and which will be going on for the next couple months. But it is what it is, man. I mean, it's the great thing about not being there is kind of being detached from it, that craziness, and knowing that there's a big world out here, that life moves on and it doesn't revolve around that ridiculous political squabbling that we have in the United States. And I'm sure they have it over here too in all the countries, but you're just not as exposed to it as much. You're not, embedded in it when it's not your home country. Growing Green Mom says, have you put any of the pounds back on from the 5 guys? I put on 3 pounds. So I need to up my steps. I have my little scale here. I travel with a travel scale. I know a lot of people make fun of me for this, for wasting space with this, but I've traveled with this thing since 2019. I should put a link to it. I got it on Amazon. It's called like New Line. It's about the size of of an iPad or something. And I've been traveling with this thing forever. And so it makes it really easy to keep track. And anytime it starts getting to a point where I just eat less meals and walk more steps. That's been my secret to success. So. Swearwork says, I'm cool with using T-Mobile service for a bit when I arrive, but then long term I want to get fast data. Not sure if it's best to go with T-Mobile for that. I mean, your data is going to be fast, your 5G, but if you're on the normal travel plan, if you're on the normal plan, you're not going to have any 5G. You're only going to have 2G. If you get the plan that gives you there's a plan that gives you 5 gigabytes, I think it's $15 or $20 more, and it'll give you 5 gigabytes of high-speed data a month in almost any country in the world, which has been sufficient. Or you can get the other plan, and I think it's $100 total a month, total for the entire thing, and you'll get 15 gigabytes a month, which should be enough for just about anybody. But you could get much cheaper. You could get unlimited in Thailand for $10, $15, something like that, pretty affordably. So yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense if you're going to be there long term. I just, as a full-time traveler that's bouncing country to country, I just like the convenience that T-Mobile just works. Whenever I land in the airplane, turn my phone on, my phone works. I have Google Maps, I have high-speed data, I can call an Uber, a Grab, whatever I need to do, I can do it. I can, I can do tap on my phone to pay for things. So it just, life is getting more and more convenient. I got cash here in Malaysia when I first landed because I feel like I need to have cash, and I haven't used it at all. I haven't used one penny of it. Everything here is touch, and everyone's always like, well, you need their certain apps. You don't. I can do just, on my iPhone, I have the tap with my Chase card, and I just do the tap with my Chase card on my phone. Not even my actual Chase card. I carry my Chase card with me, but I haven't had to pull it out once. I paid for everything in Malaysia with my phone, every single thing. They have Apple Pay here too, which they don't in Thailand. So if I wanted to pay with Apple Pay and get 2% back, I could do that. But yeah, even in Thailand, I didn't use any cash unless I was getting street food. It's the only place I used cash. Everything else was tap. I could use my tap, not Apple Pay, but tap. But I could use my phone version of tap. Most places. Sometimes I would have to use my card version, but in Malaysia, only phone. Everywhere I go, no matter where it is, even mom and pop places, just tap. So it's been really convenient, and it's getting more and more convenient as time goes on. Eventually, it's going to be like, it's just amazing how easy travel has gotten in the short time that I've been traveling full time. But if you count like my military time when I was traveling overseas in the military, I mean, when I moved to Italy in 1998, cell phones just came out, and in Italy you could buy these little cell phones. I think they were Nokia, and you would have to go to the tabacchi store and recharge them, add minutes to them. And just like where we're at now, compared to where we were just in 2019 when I first started traveling full time, where it was still kind of a pain in the ass. You had Google Fi, which was okay, but they would eventually shut you down with phone service. And now almost all phones have some sort of international plan. T-Mobile's is affordable. And now you have eSIMs. And so you can just do all that on your phone. You don't have to go hunting for a carrier at your airport where you need to give them your passport and stuff like that. It's getting more and more easy, and I think it's going to continue to get more easy. Once Starlink is available everywhere, and Starlink's competitors, where you just have satellite-based phone, your phone will be $20 a month and it'll work anywhere in the world. So it's just going to keep getting better, in my opinion. And same with like access to your money and how you pay for things. Like I don't see any reason for me to get a Thai bank account. Unless I was going to rent long-term there maybe, because maybe it'll be harder to pay my rent. But the way I live, like I don't see any reason to get a Thai bank account or a Philippines have this thing called Gcash. Like we'll get there, but I know they have Apple Pay. So at least I'll have Apple Pay, and I'm sure they have Tap. So I haven't seen any reason to get anything like that, need anything like that. Don't forget Myanmar. Yeah, I need to go to Myanmar. Have I ever stayed in an Airbnb and felt unsafe? No. Believer, go watch my YouTube channel on how to find a good Airbnb. And I go through everything on how I find them, and I've never had an issue with Airbnb other than you'll find a video where Airbnb called me and told me I should leave an Airbnb. I had no idea why, but Airbnb actually paid for my hotel in the Hilton for a month. And I ended up finding out that it was because they were overcharging for electricity. Had I known that, I just would have stayed. It was a super nice Airbnb. I walked right outside my door and the pool was right there. I could walk right out my door and be in the pool, which was pretty cool. I just would have been like, okay, they're gonna charge me a couple extra dollars for electricity, whatever. But I had that incident. And then with this Airbnb I'm in now, I actually had a nicer Airbnb than the one I'm in, or at least I think it was nicer. It had, you see how there's 2 panels of windows? It actually had 3 panels of windows. So it was even more of a wall of windows. And the owner, so I'm renting an Airbnb, but it's through a company that has multiple Airbnbs and they just manage them. And the owner of the Airbnb, I guess I had rented, wanted to take it back. And so they had to give me alternatives. They put me in this one, which it's actually a better Airbnb for most people because it's a 1-bedroom where my other one was a studio. But if you know me, you know I prefer studios. So for me, it wasn't an upgrade, even though it's bigger and they're like, oh, it's an upgrade. For me, it's not. I'd rather have the taller windows and be in the studio. But so that's the only issue I've actually had with Airbnb. And I've stayed in a ton of Airbnbs, like years and years of Airbnb stay full time. Even when I lived in New York City and was a lawyer, I lived in Airbnbs. I got a PO box at like a mailbox, etc. or something, where I would get my mail, and I get a lot of my mail to my work actually. And I just lived in Airbnbs because I wanted to live in different neighborhoods. And if you know anything about New York City, it's a pain in the ass to rent an apartment there. You can't just go and rent apartments. You have to get a like lease person, expert, or some bull crap like that. It's a pain in the butt to rent an apartment in New York City. So I just rented Airbnbs. I just stayed in Airbnbs, and it allowed me to live in a bunch of different New York City neighborhoods, which was awesome. What's the routine in cleaning merino wool? I just wash it in the washer now. I used to hand wash it and all that crap, but to be honest with you, I mean, Unbound Merino, which is what I wear, there's a link down below if you want 10% off. Unbound Merino, you can wash it in washing machine and it's fine. I mean, this shirt is the shirt I sleep in. I've had it for 6 years now. That's why it's a sleep shirt now, but I mean, it's held up pretty good. Someone said, do I get eSIMs while traveling? No, I don't. I just use my T-Mobile. Have I made it outside yet? Today? No. Because if you guys don't know, I'm a huge LA Rams fan. I'm from St. Louis, so I just followed them when they went back to LA. I had too much emotionally invested in them, and so I just stuck with them. And I'm a huge rabid Rams fan, if you didn't know that. I'm a huge Rams fan, Blues fan, St. Louis Cardinal fan, and the St. Louis City soccer team fan. I'm a huge sports fan, sports nut. And so I got up this morning at 3:45 to watch the Rams game, and they got their ass handed to them. So as soon as that game was over, I had about an hour left till this live stream, so I haven't done any walking yet today. Another country that's on everyone's radar is Yemen. My mother was born in Aden. when there was a naval port there. I've actually been to Yemen in the Navy, in the U.S. Navy. I've actually ported in Yemen. It's a beautiful place. Do you think maybe paying T-Mobile for international data would make it more likely that they would never shut you down for being a full-time international traveler and user of the T-Mobile network? So I had that issue with Google Fi, if you've been following me for a while. And T-Mobile has the same kind of disclaimer, except for they don't say if you're out of the country this much time, we will shut you down. It just says, hey, like, shouldn't be used in that way. You know, we might shut you down. I've searched every message board and I've never found anybody, any full-time traveler that has been shut down by T-Mobile. I found a ton by Google Fi, but I've never found any that were shut down by T-Mobile. So as far as I know, you can do it. I mean, I was on cruise ships for a while. I was over in Europe for, I don't know, 6-7 months and they didn't shut me down. And then I came back to the United States on a cruise ship. So I was back in the United States, hitting US cell towers. And then now I've been in Asia since, I don't even know. I never know the months. I guess since June, maybe it's June. So, you know, and haven't had any issue. We'll see. If I have an issue, I'll definitely share it with everybody, but I haven't had any issue. And I don't pay for that international data, the add-on. I do pay for the 5 gigabytes that you can get. It's not an add-on, it's just like Magenta Max or something like that. You get it with that. Whatever I have, you get it with whatever the plan is. And it's great too, because you also get unlimited in Mexico and Canada. So it's actually great for cruise ship travelers because you do a lot of Mexico and Canada and cruise ships. If you're cruising, like I did like 3 months in Alaska cruising, where we cruised out of Vancouver, Canada. And so my cell phone just worked there, high-speed data. So anyway, it's great. Do many cruises use Starlink now? Yeah, most of them are switching to Starlink because it's so much more reliable than the other stuff they had. Princess definitely has it on all their ships. Are you upgrading to the 16? I don't know, I have the 15. We'll see. They also have a new iPad, and I have the Max iPad, the old Max iPad that you can get, and I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. I mean, I'm using it right now to watch this, by the way, to read your questions, but this iPad is my favorite thing in the world. You know, it's got the keyboard, so it works like a laptop, but it's touch, and you know, I have the pen right here, so I can do all kinds of cool graphic things with it. And you know, I have this little case, but this case works with the Magic Keyboard. I got this on Amazon or whatever. So the case is great, so I can just carry it around like this if I want. I also got the one with the SIM card, so if I rented a place that didn't have Wi-Fi, I could put a SIM card on here and have Wi-Fi. The only thing I really use Wi-Fi for is my iPad. So I could just get a SIM card for my iPad. Or I guess I would probably get a SIM card for my phone and hotspot it for my iPad. That's probably what I would do. But let's say I decided to move to, I don't know, to the Philippines full time, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get a SIM card for my phone. I'll just get an add-on SIM card for my iPad, and I probably wouldn't even get data in the house. Because the only thing, well, maybe I'll use it for the TV. So maybe that wouldn't be Netflix for the TV. Maybe I wouldn't do that. But that's one thing I like about this iPad is I can add data to it. If I'm in the United States, I can add T-Mobile data to it. It's pretty cheap too. Usually your add-on unlimited for your iPad is actually only like $10 a month or something. So it's actually pretty good. But yeah. I heard Philippines is working on lowering the age for the SRRV visa to 40. Well, that would be great. I hope they do it really soon. But next year I'll be 50, so I'll qualify for the SRRV visa. For those who don't know, that's a long-term visa. You can get, it's a retirement visa. Because I am retired military, I did over 20 years, I qualify for their SRRV military. They have some kind of deal with the United States with that, and it's pretty low cost, and it gets me a long-term visa. So I'm gonna do that for sure when I turn 50. But if they'll let me do it at 40, they'll let me do it now, I'll get it now. If I can get it now, I will get it now. So hopefully they do lower it. Cebu can be a good home base. It's near a bunch of beautiful islands. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Cebu from people. And I've been there before, actually, in the Navy. How do you fit on there? It barely, so you just got to put your feet on it. Like, do I really want to show you that on a YouTube? I don't know. But yeah, you kind of, you learn how to do it. It's not hard. You just get like, put the middle of your feet in it and kind of arch your feet like this. And then boom, gives you your weight. And it'll do it in kilograms or pounds. It's a great little thing, man. It's like 20 bucks on Amazon, and I just pack it and carry it with me, and it helps me. If I have that, I'm cognizant of my weight more than I would be if I didn't have it. I put on weight easier when I don't have it. So I carried it with me on the cruise ship as well. Let's see. Have you ever spent Christmas in Asia? No, but I'm spending Christmas in the Philippines. I actually wanted to spend Christmas in the Philippines because I don't know if you know about the Philippines, but nobody does Christmas like the Philippines. No European countries, not the United States. Christmas literally starts in the Philippines September 1st. That's when it's acceptable to put up Christmas decorations. And then once you hit October, Christmas is in full blast and there's all kinds of Christmas stuff going on. It's just a Christmassy place. They love Christmas and it's a huge, long celebration. And so I'm excited to do Christmas in the Philippines. I'm trying to get my mother to come over there. I haven't booked her a flight yet because we're trying to work out the logistics of it. But I'm probably gonna bring my mother and one of my nephews over to the Philippines around Christmas time. Give my mother a break from all the family events. She likes to travel with me now during the holidays because then it gives her an excuse not to have to host anything. So she actually really likes traveling during the holidays to wherever I'm at. And it makes it where I don't have to fly back there. So I like it too. Some places in Thailand do have Apple Pay. Yeah, they're starting to get it, but it's not like all over the place. Like in Malaysia, it's everywhere. Apple Pay is everywhere. Now you could do a lot. I could do some tap with my phone, which is basically Apple Pay. I mean, it's the same thing, and that's fine. But it's definitely getting better. It's every time I go back to Thailand, it's a lot easier to not have cash there. I still would not feel comfortable not having cash in Thailand. Here in Malaysia, I feel perfectly comfortable. I took out cash when I first got here, haven't spent a penny of it. I don't need cash here. Everything is cashless. I use Grab for my taxi to and from the airport. Like, I don't need cash here. So. What is my opinion of the latest update on iPhone? Would you buy it? I am an Apple nerd, so I probably would just because I like having the latest and greatest. I usually go 2 upgrade cycles, maybe 3. Actually, I went 3 this time. My last phone was the iPhone 12. But this upgrade is a big upgrade. So if I touch the United States, I might go ahead and do it. I might go ahead and upgrade because I could trade this phone in and get a decent trade in. I probably would upgrade my iPad to the new 13-inch iPad too, the new iPad Pro. Yeah, I probably would update it, which I really don't need to because this thing works great. Like, why do it? But I'm like one of those, I'm very frugal. I don't own a lot of stuff at all. I know I talked about spending more money this year. The one thing that I do spend money on is my Apple products. Like, I don't care. I'm going to have an iPhone. I'm going to have the best iPhone, the Pro Max. Well, not the Max anymore. I don't get the Max. I actually like the smaller one. I'm going to get the Pro though, and I'm going to have the Pro iPad. It used to be I needed to have the MacBook Pro, but the iPad Pros are so good now that they basically do everything a MacBook does. The only reason I kept my MacBook so long was because of the editing software I use for YouTube. But now there's a version of that on the iPad, which is not as good as the one on the MacBook, but it's good enough. All of my videos that I've done the last year have been edited on that. And I can't do specific things on there like color grading as well, but that's okay. I can do the Apple Pencil though, which is pretty awesome. That's where, when you see all those, me writing, that's my terrible handwriting, by the way. I have terrible handwriting. But yeah, that's the one place I don't skimp is technology stuff. I will spend money on technology stuff. I don't care. I will buy the good stuff. You're going to find Philippines a bit behind other countries in terms of money. Cash is still king there. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, every time, everyone is telling me that it's pretty easy to go cashless there, especially if you have Gcash. Well, you can only get Gcash if you have a Philippine number or like one of 4 other countries, but the US isn't one of them. So I won't be able to get Gcash, but we'll see. We'll see when I get there. I have JP Morgan Chase, that's my bank, and there's a JP Morgan Chase in BGC. I don't know if they're connected in any way, but I don't know. We'll see. But every time I go to a country, it's getting easier and easier. Like Malaysia is, I'd say Malaysia is actually easier to not have cash in the United States. Like you do not need cash here. You can pay everything with your phone. You don't even need to carry a wallet here. You can pay everything with your phone. So, hey, Robert Mack in Asia, Robert Mack Media now is on. What's going on, man? How you doing? I worry about falling through floor to ceiling windows. Yeah, I mean, they're on there pretty good. Like these buildings, like it's on there. It's on there pretty good. Some of the balcony railings can be sketchy in some of the places I've noticed, but yeah, it's not too bad. Have I been to Holbox? I have been. I love the place. Holbox is one of my favorite places. I love it because there's no cars. Actually, you mentioned that. Yeah, there's no cars on the island, which I love. You have to walk. So they made it very walkable. Yeah, for those who don't know, I love walkable places. Hey, Van City Adventures in the house. What's going on, man? Solo retirement with Lydia. A bunch of YouTubers on here today. How often do you return to the States? So last year I was cruising out of the United States mostly. United States or Canada. Usually once a year. Usually at least once a year. So. Started my T-Mobile account this past week. Thanks for the guidance. Yeah, I mean, if you're a traveler, T-Mobile's the best. Like as far as affordability, usability, to me it's the best. I'd say Google Fi is probably a little bit better if they didn't shut you down when you leave the country for too long. So a long-term traveler, Google Fi is below T-Mobile. But Google Fi actually in the States can be sketchy with service. T-Mobile used to be pretty sketchy, but it's gotten a lot better in the States. What am I drinking? I'm drinking water, mineral water. And for those that are going to yell at me about this, yes, this is a plastic bottle, but I have a big giant water jug that I've been filling up and just filling up the same plastic bottle. So I haven't used multiple plastic bottles, although I have with this. Although that's not really true either. So this is Pepsi Lime, which is very popular in Asia, 0. And I actually been filling this up with a big Pepsi. So I've been trying to limit the amount of plastic. I like the Pro Max with the 1 gigabyte of memory. Yeah, I mean, me as a video maker, I always get the 1 terabyte. My iPad is actually 2 terabytes, I think. I think it's 2 terabytes of memory. So yeah, I like having a lot of memory. Does your brother visit you while you're traveling? So I have, for those who don't know, I have 3 brothers and a sister. They all have families, and so they don't. They have kids, you know, young kids, and so they have not traveled to where I am. Maybe when they move into the stage of life I'm the oldest, by the way. So maybe when they move into their retirement stage in their life, maybe they will come visit me. I mean, they always have an open invite. If my brothers or my sister and their kids wanted to come, I would rent an Airbnb with multiple bedrooms to accommodate that. I would for sure. All they would have to do is pay their flight. You have to get an ACR card and a Filipino phone number to have Gcash. All right, I need to figure out what an ACR card is. I've heard people mention that before. I need to figure out what it is. Am I still using the Osprey 30? I still own it, but I don't use it anymore. I'm traveling with my level 8 roller bag. I would show you it, but I'm actually using it as like part of my thing holding up my iPhone here. So you can see a link to it though down below. But yeah, I do still own it, and I'm sure I'll use it in the future. I never left cruising. I never went home after cruising, so I just stuck with the carry-on a level 8 bag I have, a level 8 rolling bag I have. Yeah, I just stuck with it. It's better for my back anyway. Yeah, someone said everything but my Apple products and headsets. Yeah, my tech stuff, I'm very like, I'll spend money on that. Do I like Olipop soda? I haven't had it. I'll have to try that. I've seen it though. Is your nephew old enough for the bike yet? No, definitely not. I mean, one of them is. I have nieces and nephews that are in their late teens, early 20s. But the nephew you're talking about, no. What's your favorite country for ladies? I don't know what that means. Do you mean for ladies to travel to? Like what's good for ladies to travel to? Or do you mean for like meeting women on dating apps? I don't know which one you mean. If you're talking about to travel to, I mean, I'm the wrong person because I'm not a lady that travels. You'd have to ask some women that travel, because I know there's different things that you consider when when you're traveling. But yeah, I would say, I mean, Japan, you can never go wrong with Japan. But what's good for meeting women? I mean, if you're a good person and you're smart and intelligent and you take care of yourself, you're relatively fit, I would say any country is good for dating. Every country has women that want to date men, and men that want to date women, and men that want to date men, women that want to date women, and all the flavors. So I'd say every country is good for dating if you're a decent person with a decent personality and can hold a conversation. I haven't noticed any difference in any countries, to be honest with you. They are all decent for dating. Does iCloud work the same as having a large memory phone? I like having the stuff on my phone so I don't have to download it from the cloud, but that's because I make YouTube videos. If I didn't make YouTube videos, then I probably wouldn't care. But for me, I'd rather have it on the device because it just saves me time. Once you've been in the Philippines for more than 60 days, you're required to get an ACR card. In the Philippines, it costs about 4,000 pesos, which is what? That's about, let's see, it's 55 peso to the dollar. So that's, what is that? Like 60 bucks? With my math, how's my math? My first ever Christmas overseas as a civilian will be in Bangkok. That's pretty cool. New Year's in Siem Reap. That'll be awesome. Got the feeling it's going to be weird and much lonelier as an introvert. Maybe, I mean, just got to go out and find things. If you really want to have those experiences with your specific holidays that are specific to your religion and country in countries that don't practice those religions, just go check out the expat groups. You'll find all kinds of stuff going on. And in Thailand, you'll see Christmas trees everywhere. Have you picked up any other languages? Or can you get by with English? So that's one of the bad things about being a native English speaker, is it's so easy to just travel on English because it's the common tongue in many places. And so it's just really easy. And it makes you lazy, and it's made me lazy. When I lived in Italy for 2 years, I was pretty fluent in Italian because I lived in a small little fishing village that didn't have a lot of English speakers. So I kind of had to. This was in 1998. They still had the lira. There was no euro yet, and the lira was great back then. It was over 2,000 lira to the dollar, which was, I felt, even though I was a broke young enlisted sailor, I was rich in Italy because I got 2,000 lira for my dollar. But yeah, I have not picked up any languages, even though in Thailand I tried, but I don't stay anywhere longer than a couple months. I think if I stayed somewhere longer, I would pick up a language. Now in the Philippines, everyone speaks English, so like it's harder to pick up that language. In Thailand, so in the Philippines, you can meet people that can have an intellectual conversation with you in English. So a lot of people that have that level of proficiency. In Thailand, that is a lot harder. It's a lot harder to find a Thai person that you can have an intellectual conversation with, a deep intellectual conversation with in English. A lot of Thai people have conversational proficiency, but not like deep intellectual conversation type of proficiency. Unless you hang around Bangkok in the more educated class, many of them do. Like my neighbor was a doctor, and she spoke better English than me with like a British accent. She was like educated in Singapore or something, and her English was actually better than my English. And so you can find it, but it's a lot less. Like in the Philippines, like a normal middle class, lower middle class household, you could have very proficient English speakers, where in the in Thailand, that's a lot less likely. Try the grape. You know what? I have tried the olipop. I tried the lychee. The lychee. Do you say lychee or lychee? I know some people say lychee. When I lived in Hawaii, it was lychee. That's how you pronounced it in Hawaii. But I hear a lot of people say lychee. I have tried that olipop. I saw the grape there too. I need to try that. I think you missed Namir's question. Yeah, if I missed your question, it's not on purpose. Try to put the question marks in front of it or something. But if I missed it, it's not on purpose. How are you shaving your head? So I have like this, here, I'll go grab it real quick. Let's see here. I've got this generic one I bought on Amazon. I don't even know what the brand is. It doesn't have a brand on it. It's like a Chinese brand. And works great. It's just like a pit bull, except for way cheaper. And they'll have, it comes with 3 blades. So at some point, this is my final blade. But these blades last 6 months to a year for me. So, and I just rinse it out under the water to get the hair out of it. I mean, you can open it up too and take it out. And you can use it in the shower if you want. It's waterproof. And you just charge it up. And yeah, it's wireless. So it's a great little, I got it on Amazon. I wish I had a link to it. I could give it to you. It might be in one of my packing videos maybe. I used to use the pit bull, but that one's too expensive, man. Just buy the generic one. Works just as good. Actually, I think it works a little bit better. It's lasted me longer than my pit bull did. My pit bull broke. This one's actually lasted longer. And it's just a generic version. I think it was like $39 or something. And it came with 3 of these blades. So. David said, in Thailand, I'm a handsome man. Have you considered picking Italian back up? Yeah, I probably should. I tried to speak it when I was over there with my mother. I did. For those who don't know, I took my mother to Venice for her birthday. And we spent 2 weeks, a little bit over 2 weeks in Venice, and I tried to use it, but it was a disaster. Do you do any volunteer work? I have in the past. I've done some in Thailand when I was there for a year, but I haven't in the small windows I've been. Also, when I was in remote year, they every month would have multiple volunteer opportunities, and I would always do those. One of them was Habitat for Humanity, which you mentioned, but a bunch of other different ones. I have some videos on that actually. But yeah, they had volunteer opportunities, but I should do more of that. Namir said without shaving cream. Yeah, you don't need shaving cream for these kind of shavers. You need shaving cream at all. I mean, I usually just do it dry. You can put a little, you can run it under water. I usually run it under hot water, get the blades a little bit warm, and it just, easy peasy. I've never cut my head or anything like that. Deep intellectual conversations aren't happening in the U.S. anymore. Yeah, I mean, and I'm not like trying to be all high and mighty and stuff. I just mean like, you know, talking about, you know, whatever the topic of the day is in a deep intellectual way where you both understand the point you're trying to make is what I mean. About life, about philosophy, and, you know, stuff like that. Danny's going out to get his 10,000 steps. Very cool. Bought Hoka Clifton 9 after a month of research and trying a lot of shoes. So far, so good. Wanted a good pair for all the upcoming 20,000 step days. Awesome. Yeah, I have the one that's like the Italian name. Girardi, I think it is. Hoka Girardi. It's the one I have. And it's been good so far. The only thing I regret is I got white. And they're filthy from walking around the streets of Bangkok. I mean, they're filthy. And I've scrubbed them and I just can't get them to look good anymore. So they look kind of crappy. Next time I'll get the black ones for sure. I usually always get black shoes, but for whatever reason, the white ones looked really good. And I was like, well, I'll be able to keep them clean. No. Apples says, hope you're doing well. Are you going to be able to vote? Yeah, I have absentee ballot that my mom's going to fill out for me, actually. I just got to trust her because she's probably voting. We're probably voting opposite ways. So hopefully I can trust her. Throw your shoes in the washer. I should do that. I haven't thrown them in the washer yet. I should do that. Have you ever used a razor to shave my head? Yeah, I have. Sometimes when I like, this I do have to do every single day. Where if I do a razor, I can go like 2 or 3 days. So sometimes I have a razor in the shower and I'll just do the razor. But usually I'm just too lazy. I just wake up in the morning, turn this thing on, go like this. Easy peasy, you know. I mean, it's just easy. So, or I'll be sitting there watching Seinfeld or something. Is that legal? I mean, it's a good question. Is it legal? I did it in the military multiple times because my absentee ballot didn't get to the ship, so I had someone do it at my home residence for me. But I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm gonna go to jail. I don't know. But I would think it's okay because if it's my ballot and I'm in, like, how does a blind person vote? You know, like. I mean, if it's my ballot, I'm directing how it's to be done and submitted. And if they want to open it up and say, is this what you wanted? And I say, yes, like, I don't see what the problem is with that. But, maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's not ethical. I don't know. It seems ethical to me. I personally think like all voting should be online so everyone can vote. Just attach it to a social security number. I log on to social security website and I cast my vote. Like, I don't know why things are so complicated when we have technology. Do you still like your veneers on your teeth? Yeah, I mean, I'm super happy with it. For those who don't know, I have a whole video about like me getting veneers and crowns on my teeth. Super happy with how they turned out, how they're like feeling. I wear this mouth guard. I actually have it in the bathroom right now because I took it out this morning in there, but it usually goes in this little case. I wear this mouth guard at night, and that's been great as well. What did you use here? Head shave, bald cafe. On the bald cafe on my head shave, they use like I think they just used like a regular, like one you would find at a barber shop type of thing. But this one gets closer than that. It's really, like I said, it's just a generic Chinese made version on Amazon. I don't even think it was $40. But I mean, the Pitbull cost me like $200 something. I got the best one you could buy. And I'll be honest with you, this thing's better than that one. Someone said, you should know better as a lawyer. Nah, I'm not that kind of lawyer. So. A blind person has a special exemption. We would not do that for our kids in the military. Whatever. To each their own. To be honest with you, my mom probably won't do it anyway. Probably because of who I'm going to vote for. So my mom will probably just tell me she did and rip it up. But yeah. I wish there was an easier way to vote overseas. Most military people I know wound up relying on family at least once or twice. Yeah, and to be honest with you, normally, I did, like when I was in Iraq, I was able to vote. But most of the time, the absentee ballots get there and get counted after the results are already decided anyway. So, whatever. Sign a power of attorney for your mother. My mother does have a power of attorney. So, for everything. She has a general power of attorney. So she could really screw me if she wanted. What's next after the Philippines? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to see how much I like BGC. I might stay there. Oh, actually, that's not true. I know where I'm going right after. I'm going to Hawaii. A friend of mine has a timeshare there and invited me to come. So I'm going to go stay at a resort on, I think it's Kauai. I don't know. I haven't bought my ticket yet. I bought my ticket. I actually bought my ticket from Kauai. Yeah, I guess it is Kauai. Because Southwest flies to Hawaii now. And so I'm flying from Kauai via Southwest, which is awesome because I love Southwest, except for they don't have business class. But I bought the A-list, so I'll get on the plane first and I can get my seat first. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah, I bought my ticket back to the States because I was just going to go see my mother in February. And then I'll probably go cruising because there's a cruise out of the Caribbean at the time, a ship I really like, the Enchanted Princess. And so I might do that. But I might go to Iceland because I've always wanted to stay in Iceland in the winter. I don't know yet. Love your veneers, they look great. Thanks, Phil, I appreciate that. The only brand name product I buy is Hellmann's mayonnaise. I like Hellmann's mayonnaise. When I was a kid, I grew up with Miracle Whip. I was a Miracle Whip household. And I didn't really like mayonnaise when I was a kid. Now when I go back home, I can't stand Miracle Whip. I love mayonnaise. I guess, because I've lived outside of a Miracle Whip world. But my mother loves Miracle Whip. So that's the mayonnaise they have in my house, which is not really mayonnaise. But that's what I grew up with. When I was a kid, I loved Miracle Whip, but I hate it as an adult. I think it's gross. And I love mayonnaise. I love like chicken sandwiches covered in mayonnaise. I love my French fries dipped in mayonnaise. I usually do a combination of mayonnaise and sriracha or mayonnaise and ketchup. So I think that was from my time when I lived in Italy, where you could only get mayonnaise for French fries. I grew accustomed to mayonnaise. Almost 50, so what country are you going to get your colonoscopy in? I didn't get a colonoscopy this time, but I will get a colonoscopy at my next appointment. They did do like a feces test or whatever. Not to get gross, but they did do one of those where they can detect certain things. But most military people I know rely on family. Yeah. I heard Southwest. I might not even, to be honest with you, because I live outside the United States so much, I might not even vote this year, to be completely honest with you. I'm not like super happy about the choices anyway. And so I might even vote third party, like libertarian or green, I don't know. But I might not even vote this year because I don't live in the United States very much anymore. I have been thinking about getting a home base there, which then I think it's more important for me to vote. But I might not vote this year, to be honest. Now that I sit and think about it, like I'm really not excited about the choices. And I'm a Missouri resident, which used to be a purple state, but it's not anymore. Like your vote really doesn't matter in Missouri anymore, to be completely honest with you, as far as national elections go and even local elections anymore. So I like being in a state, I like living in a state that's purple. I want my vote to kind of matter because I'm kind of in the middle, so I can go either way. So anyway, sorry, I don't want to talk about politics. Going Green Mom says, I grew up in a Miracle Whip house. Did anybody else grow up in a Miracle Whip house? I thought Miracle Whip was the norm until I remember I spent the night at one of my friends one night and I got like a bologna sandwich and I took a bite of it and I almost threw up because I'd never tasted normal mayonnaise before. And it's really different than Miracle Whip. Miracle Whip's like sweet. It's like, I don't know, they don't taste anything like each other. If I bet, I would say you're voting for Harris, but your mom is voting the opposite, so that kind of confuses me. Yeah, I wouldn't. You never know. You never know who. I would not say who I'm going to vote for, because I just like if you were here and we were going to talk about it, and I could give you my reasons, but I'm not. I'm definitely not going to get on an internet argument about politics. There's plenty of channels, channels about politics. Anybody who knows me knows I'm very socially liberal but fiscally conservative. So I can go either way depending on the politician. There's not a lot of room for me in either party. Both party Republicans would call me a rhino, and Democrats would say I'm like Manchin or something, even though I don't think I'm like Manchin. So I don't really have a place in either party. They both don't like me. They both wouldn't like my stances on certain items. So, yeah. So I really don't have a home in either party anymore. They both hate the center. So, do you have to get vaxxed when you go to a new country? You don't really have to do that anymore. I haven't been anywhere where anybody's asked me for it anymore. When I first started traveling after COVID, I did have to do that to get into Thailand. And I had to quarantine as well, even though I was vaccinated. But those days seem to be behind us now. So I don't know of anywhere you have to do that. Maybe there is still, maybe Australia, because I know they were really strict. But yeah, I haven't had to do that in any country. When you come to Malaysia, they do have online system that you have to do, but it doesn't ask you about that. But it's a great system. When I was first doing it, I was like, what is this BS I have to do? It was really simple. You do it 3 days before you arrive. It's actually super simple to do. And when you arrive, you don't have to go through immigration. You just go through like a digital immigration where they scan your face. Super easy. And I wish every country would do it like that. It made arriving so easy. Yeah, again, like as far as the election goes, I'm getting to a point where I'm like, I don't really want to vote anymore. And I've voted since I could first vote. I don't really want to vote anymore because I don't have I don't live in the United States. And I know there are policies that still impact me regarding taxes and healthcare and veterans type of stuff. I know there's stuff that still impacts me, but I don't feel that connected with it, to be honest with you. I used to really be into politics, and I used to be really connected to it. I lived in DC. I used to be really connected to it, and I don't feel connected to it at all. Like I said, I don't find either party a home. I don't find a home in either party for me. Both parties don't like me because I'm liberal socially, but I'm fiscally conservative. So both parties have reasons to hate me. So there's no room really for center in either party anymore, or at least as far as like what you see on TV. I'm sure there still is like in real life, but anyway. Thailand now has the mandatory ETA digital arrival system, maybe as soon as the end of the year. Man, I hope they follow what Malaysia did, because Malaysia's is really good. Malaysia's like having global entry in the United States, the Malaysian one. You arrive to the country and you just walk through immigration in 2 seconds. It's super easy. So I hope Thailand, in the past, the things I've had to do for Thailand have not made a lot of sense and didn't make any sense when I arrived, to be honest with you. A lot of the things that Thailand would have me do. The stuff in Malaysia made sense, and it's super, super easy. It's not a challenge to do, where the Thai one was like kind of a challenge to do. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Back in the day. Not now, but back in the day. So hopefully. I guess you can think of fries with mayonnaise as potato salad. Yeah, kind of. We have to reduce the debt, or dollar will eventually collapse. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely arguments in all ways to that. I mean, to be honest with you, we've been hearing that for a long time, and it hasn't come to fruition. As long as we're the world's currency, we have that power, which helps, and also we have a ridiculously good economy, and every major business in the world is a United States company for the most part. Like when I walk around the United States, I never see a Malaysian company. I do maybe see some Japanese companies, but when I walk around here, I see American companies everywhere. I see in the mall, every store has Levi's jeans, every store has Nikes, every store there's a Starbucks on every corner in every country I go to now. There's a McDonald's on every corner, there's a KFC on every corner. There is like Google, everyone uses Google. Everyone has, a huge portion of the world has iPhones. Most of the big companies, like I see Teslas everywhere, right? So entertainment on the TV. There are very few well-produced TV shows or movies in foreign countries that are not from the United States. Very few. If I go into a cinema now, all of the movies will be Hollywood productions, right? Maybe there'll be one from Bollywood and maybe one local production. But like, until that ceases to exist, I mean, if the dollar collapsed tomorrow, everyone's still going to go to McDonald's and buy McDonald's in Malaysia. When I go to Starbucks here, it's packed. You know, so yeah. Anyway, sorry. I don't want to go down politics. I mean, the financial stuff, I don't mind talking about. How do you plan for retirement in old age? I'm a lawyer, considering leaving, traveling soon, but looking more 6 months down the road. So for me, what I did was I spent 20 years in the military. Great, I got a pension. It's amazing. And the great thing about a U.S. military pension is it starts right when you retire. If you do 20 years, you get it the day after you retire, which is like unheard of nowadays. It's pretty amazing. I'm sure that'll probably change in the future because it's such a good deal. I've been investing my whole life. I started in 1994 when I first joined the military. I started investing, and I'd say about 8 years into my investing journey, I discovered dividend producing assets, and I just started buying dividend stocks. In the military, I would buy a house everywhere I was stationed, and I would rent it out when I left. So by the time my military career ended, I had multiple rental properties. I eventually sold them, put that money in dividend stocks because I just liked the ease of, I like not having to do anything for that passive income. And real estate is anything but passive, even when you have a management company. I still own one rental property that's completely paid off, so completely cash flows. And I've had the same renter in there since 2012. It's actually a family member that's pretty reliable and is a retired hotel maintenance man. So I really haven't had to do any maintenance either because he can just fix everything. But so I have that passive income source as well. So I have multiple passive income streams. And then I just live off that passive income. I don't even touch my investments. I haven't even touched them. I don't know if I ever will because my passive income far exceeds my monthly expenses. Even without the YouTube income, it would. With the YouTube income, I built a little side income here, if you don't know, if you're just watching this channel, and my YouTube channel makes anywhere from $1,500 to $10,000 a month if I'm making videos all the time. But like right now, when I'm doing like one live stream a week, it'll keep it around $2,000 a month. So that's nice. I usually don't spend over $3,000 a month, usually less, sometimes much less, depending on where I'm at. When I was getting, all my dental work done, if you don't count the dental work, which I know you've got to count the dental work, but if you don't count that, I think that month cost me like $1,700. And I was staying in a hotel, so it was a little bit more expensive. Going Green Mom says we need to get rid of two-party system. Yeah, I agree with that. Any desire to visit China? Yeah, I definitely have a desire to visit China. I need to go to China. I've been to Hong Kong, but I don't really count that as China. I need to actually, no, they had turned it over. I've been to Hong Kong before they turned it over in the Navy, but also after, when the British turned it over in, I think 1999? But yeah, I want to go to China for sure. Do I worry about the lack of free speech I worry about the lack of free speech on all sides, right? I don't think it's necessarily to the left either. It's to the right too. I mean, I have some right-wing friends that think that I should live by the Ten Commandments, So I should be forced to. So it's on both sides. And I think a lot of people too, from a lawyer's perspective, confuse freedom of speech with like freedom of speech is only protection from the government. Like a lot of people will say, Facebook doesn't believe in freedom of speech. Well, they're a company. Like that's not, the Constitution doesn't protect you from businesses. Like you can't go into a McDonald's put a soapbox up and start saying whatever you want, McDonald's has the right to kick you out. And Facebook's the same way. You can go and make your own website and say whatever you want on it and be okay. But when you go into Facebook, they own it. Whether you like that or not or agree with it, it's just, that's how it is. The Constitution doesn't protect you from businesses. It doesn't protect you from other people saying, I don't want to listen to you. Freedom of speech is not yelling, someone having to tolerate you yelling in their ear. Or tolerate you in a McDonald's on a soapbox next to you while you're trying to eat your Big Mac. That's not freedom of speech, right? Freedom of speech is protection from the government telling you what you can and cannot say. So a lot of people confuse freedom of speech with being able to say whatever the hell they want to say when they want to say it. Those aren't the same thing. So it's oftentimes confused, or at least I've noticed. Most people's freedom of speech complaints aren't actually freedom of speech complaints. They're complaints that they don't get to say whatever they want, wherever they want, anytime they want, without worrying about other people giving a rat's ass about what they say. That's what they want. They want me to have to listen to them. And that's not freedom of speech. Sorry, I shouldn't get on the political topics, but I see that a lot. There's a lot of confusion about what the Constitution protects you. Like where your constitutional protections extend to. And they don't extend to private businesses. Oh man, I hope we don't get on politics. Sorry. I was in McDonald's in the Philippines and somebody came in and started preaching. Nobody did anything but listen. Hey, it happens, you know. And I don't know what the laws in the Philippines are. They might be different. They might be different. But in the United States, if a Jehovah's Witness comes into McDonald's and sits next to your table and tries to force you to listen to them, you can tell the manager at McDonald's and they can kick them out. And that's not a freedom of speech violation. Heather says, Heather Goes Rogue. What a cool name. And thanks for the super chat. Moving to Bangkok, I want to be able to go to 7-Eleven at midnight and be close to malls and the BTS. Also, I prefer newer condo. In my 50s, what neighborhood do you recommend? So go check out my recent videos in True Digital Park. Now, True Digital Park it's on a BTS station. It's actually covered walkway. You can walk to the BTS. It's a little bit of a walk, but it's covered, so it's great. And your condos are basically in a mall and in the BTS station. They're right there. There's three different buildings. And I loved it. I'd say there's 30 restaurants in True Digital Park. There's a 7-Eleven. I don't know if it's open 24/7, but it probably is. There's a 7-Eleven and a Lotus, a Tesco Lotus. Look on Google Maps when you look at it and see if they're open 24/7, but I think they are. There is a Starbucks if you want Starbucks coffee and about 50 other coffee shops. There's a McDonald's if you want McDonald's. There's healthy food places. There's a bazillion different choices for you in there. But it's not right in the heart of the city. So if you want like right in the heart of the city, there's a couple of condo buildings. There's like the SA. There's a couple that are right next to Terminal 21, which will put you right in the heart of the city, right on the hotspot place on the BTS line. There's a couple condos right there next to Terminal 21. The main Terminal 21 at the Asok BTS stop. So look up Asok BTS and look at the condos around there. One's called the SA. There's a couple other ones right there. That's a good spot. It's congested. It's not as walkable, in my opinion, as True Digital Park. But yeah, that's what I would say. If you're in, are you talking about just Bangkok? Let me go back up and look again. Yeah, just Bangkok. Yeah, True Digital, but it's outside of, it's still in Bangkok, but it's like 8 stops away from Asok. You're still in Bangkok, but it's very, very convenient, in my opinion. And it's called True Digital Park. But go check out my video on True Digital Park and other videos on True Digital Park. I really liked it. I like it. But if you're into like nightlife and things like that, there's not a lot of nightlife there. You're gonna have to get on the train take a 15-minute train ride to Asok or Nana if you want the nightlife. But if you're not like a nightlife person, I think that one's good. Now, I don't know if the 7-Elevens open 24/7. I would say the 7-Elevens that are in Terminal 21 are definitely open 24/7. But yeah. Our Navy son just got a job in Sasebo. Have you been to Sasebo? I have been to Sasebo. Yeah, Sasebo's nice. Yeah, I like Sasebo. I spent most of my time though in oh man, I keep wanting to say Fukuoka, but that's not it. It's not. It's Yokosuka. In the Navy, we would go to Yokosuka. Sasebo, they had Gator freighters there and like helicopter squadrons, but I was usually on aircraft carriers or frigates that protect aircraft carriers, and you pull into Yokosuka, not to Sasebo as much. But I have been to Sasebo a couple times. Tonglor is a neighborhood. Oh, there you go, Tonglor. Tonglor is a great neighborhood. It's more of a fancy neighborhood. Tonglor and Ekamai, which are right next to each other, are good as well. That's a good, that Life's a Beach, that's a good one too. I used to live in On Newt and I liked it. It's also a little bit further out, but there's like IDO Moby is right there. It's right basically on the train and in the, you know what? I have a whole, I actually have on my notes, I did a note of not every, but as many Bangkok apartment buildings that were connected to a BTS station where you didn't have to really leave the building or leave a covered area to get to the BTS. Send me an email at kevin@30towakeup.com. Send me an email there and I'll forward you that list of condos that are connected to BTS stations. And that maybe will be a good starting point. Actually, I think there is a YouTube video where I got that from. Like search YouTube for like Bangkok condo BTS station or something like that. And it had like, or maybe it was an article. Maybe I Googled it and found it. But yeah, and then I cut and paste them into my notes app on there. Yeah. Do I miss working full time? Yeah, I miss being a lawyer, to be honest with you, the intellectual challenge of it. I do miss working full time. I thought about maybe going back to the US and doing something like things that I've always wanted to do. Like I've always wanted to drive a semi truck and maybe just do that for a year. I know that sounds weird. A lot of people are like, what? But I've always wanted to just be an over the road truck driver. And I know I'm probably romanticizing it in my mind, and every truck driver I've ever talked to says I am. But yeah, I think I would enjoy it. But maybe I would hate it. Hopefully that answers your question there, and thanks again for that super chat. But next month, you'll see me in BGC in the Philippines. You might want to check that out, because that's very walkable and kind of what you're looking for, I think. So maybe even look at BGC Philippines too. Terminal 21 seems like a busy area. I'll look at True Digital Park. Yeah, look at True Digital Park. Nightlife is the last thing I'm looking for. Yeah. And then those guys told you like Tonglor and Ekamai, I think are good. But those are also, they're not that walkable. I know like a lot, like that area just isn't that walkable in my opinion, personally. I don't even think a Soak area is very walkable. I mean, when you're on the like Skywalk it is, but those areas to me aren't very walkable. True Digital Park was a lot more walkable. A lot of stuff on Sukhumvit actually isn't very walkable, in my opinion, personally. It's not an easy walk because it's not like BGC in the Philippines where you got like nice sidewalks and everything. But yeah, you should check out BGC like as well. If you're not dead set on Thailand, look at BGC in the Philippines. I'm moving to Jomtien in a few months. All the ladies tell me I'm handsome. Yeah, I'm sure they do. How does a person become a nominee for president without ever getting one vote to be president? Yeah, man, that's a good debate to have. There's lots of channels that have that, Apple. Let's not forget though, we use electorates in both cases to select the president and to like most states, 100% of their electorates go towards a candidate for president, even though 100% of their state didn't vote. Like I'm sure this year in Missouri, it'll probably be like 54% for Trump, 46% for Harris, but Trump will get 100% of the electoral college numbers, from the state. So it's not like we don't live in a system that's that way anyway, right? So it's an electorate system for the primaries as well. Even though they do votes, it's still based on the electorates. The electorates can go against the voter. And if we don't like the system, that's what a republic is. Democratic republic is you vote and you vote, you tell the representatives what you want them to do, but they don't have to do it. What time of year is best for 90-day Southeast Asia stays? I'm not good for the time of year thing, to be honest with you, because I never pay attention to it. I mean, I'm here in Asia in rainy season. A lot of people will tell you they don't want to come here during rainy season. I don't care about that kind of stuff. Personally, I actually like off-peak times because Airbnbs are cheaper. So I actually like them. Like I'm probably going to go to Iceland for the winter because Airbnbs are so affordable. But there's other people in this chat that can answer that for you. I do like Chiang Mai in like October, November timeframe, September, October, November. It gets nice and cool, but that's up in the mountains. So I don't know if other places in Southeast Asia would be like that. But yeah, how far in advance should they be planned? I mean, that's up to you. I mean, sometimes I plan like a week out, I'll rent something. And sometimes I do it longer term. Like this time I've done a lot more longer term planning, but normally I don't do that. So it just depends on what you're comfortable with. You're gonna have more options if you're doing the Airbnb route. You're gonna have more options the longer you go out because stuff isn't booked, right? If you're booking by the month. The closer you get to the date you wanna stay, the less options there are going to be available. So, but I always say, I don't know what I'm gonna wanna feel like doing in a month, which is why I don't like planning longer than a month or two. Going Green Mountain says you're definitely romanticizing it. Yeah, I do. I tend to do that. You should go for your dream. If it's not for you, you can always retire again. Yeah, exactly. They have simulators for truck driving, right? And 20,000 steps is not really a thing with the hours truck drivers keep. I mean, I follow a couple truck drivers that are in really good shape and they like have these whole videos dedicated to how they stay in shape. So I would try to do that. They need to understand something about the electoral college. They decided to become, politics. Do you like one story or two story? One story or two story? Are you talking about like units? I'd rather have one story. I mean, well, that's not true. I wouldn't mind a loft. Like in this building, they have you see how I have 2 panes of windows? They have units in this building that are 3-pane lofts. So like add another pane and that's how high the window is. And then back there would be the loft that overlooks this little area. And then you got steps that go up to it. And I actually wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind having a loft like that. I like loft living. When I lived in Washington State near Seattle in Everett, Washington, I had a loft. I loved it. It was that style of loft, had huge windows. I love that place. I should have never sold it. It's worth like 3 times what I sold it for now. But would you go back and work for the government? No. No, I wouldn't. If I was going to work as a lawyer, I would max out the amount of money I make. I would work corporate law. It's better. You have access to better resources. You have more, I don't know, complex cases which are interesting, and I just enjoy that. I enjoy like complicated cases. Carolina says, I live on an annuity pension. I like very much free time, hiking, biking. Yeah, you know, I've thought about converting a lot of my cash into annuities. I kind of have that with my dividend portfolio. It's kind of like an annuity, but I've thought about doing that where I just cash out and just get an annuity and never think about it again. But I get so much enjoyment out of investing that it would be a big part of my life that I would be giving up. But I have thought about doing that, cashing out, not all of it, but a lot of it, and just buying an annuity and having that cash flow for the rest of my life without thinking about it. So do you like one story or two story? I think you're talking about apartment. Either one would be fine with me. If you're talking about buildings, I mean, I like high rises. Like in this building, I'm on the 17th floor. It goes up to floor 38, I think. I would like to be on the 38th floor. Put me on the highest floor possible. Vietnam is good for 3 months. Oh yeah, someone's giving advice on where to go. Yeah, listen to them. When was I in Vietnam? I was in Hanoi, Vietnam. Man, when was that? I'm trying to do the math here. Trying to do the month math. February, March, April, May, June. I think I was in Vietnam in July or August in Hanoi, and it was an oven and really humid. I still loved it there, but it was hot. Did you have a view of Mount Rainier and the Cascades? No, I was in Everett, Washington. My condo faced the Sound, so it was an amazing view, but yeah, I didn't face the Cascades of Mount Rainier. That would have been awesome though. I love Mount Rainier, it's beautiful. Jen and Tommy says, thinking about retiring from teaching soon, but can't stay put. Yeah, I mean, I wish I would get motivated about YouTube again. That used to take up a lot of my time, YouTube, like doing YouTube videos. But I'm always like at a loss for ideas. I'm like, I've done that already. I'm not very good at travel vlogging. You know, if I had like a girlfriend or something, maybe it would be easier for me to do like eating videos, which I know are really popular. But when you're by yourself, it's not easy to do that kind of stuff. So it's harder to do that. The inflation risk of holding an annuity at your age seems too high. Yeah, I would definitely, like, if I was going to do it, it would be, I don't want to use the word inflation proof, but it would be a huge chunk of cash where it would be so much cash flow that I would never outgrow the ability for it to support my life. And I'm very lucky. I have a military retirement, which is basically an annuity that adjusts every year with the cost of living. So I have that. No matter what happens to anything else I have that, you know. So at a minimum, I mean, I could live a comfortable life in Thailand or the Philippines on just my military retirement. I was the highest rank you can achieve as an enlisted person. I was an E9, so I was a high rank, you know, higher pay. I could easily retire off just my military pension. So anything I would buy would be like bonus money, and I would do it at a level where it would be high enough where I wouldn't get to a point where it was so devalued that it wasn't a good amount of money, if that makes sense. But I love the investment process so much. I love researching investments. I love seen every month when I get, like, most of my money I still invest. Most of the money I get from my different passive income sources, I just invest. I don't spend a lot of money. And I make over 6 figures in passive income, well over 6 figures in passive income. And I maybe spend on a year where I spend a lot, I spend $40,000. So, and that's most of the time not the case. I usually spend significantly under that because all I care about is food and a decent place to live. And when you're living in places like this, food and decent place to live are cheap. I've been stacking credit card points my whole life, or for a long time, so I don't have to pay for flights. It doesn't cost me any transportation costs or anything like that. So, yeah. And all that wasn't said to brag. Anybody can do it. I mean, you'd have to go spend 20 years in the military to get a military pension, but anybody can build a dividend portfolio. Anybody can buy real estate properties and turn them into cash flowing rental properties. Anybody can start a YouTube channel and turn it into a little passive income monster from old videos. Anybody can do that stuff. It's not, I make way more off my dividend income than I make off my military retirement, way more. So, yeah. And if I devote myself to YouTube, I make way more off YouTube than I make off my military retirement. But if I had to live on just my military retirement, I easily could. I have a paid off house in Missouri, in rural Missouri. I could go live in that house off my military income, no rent. I could do that for the rest of my life if I need to. So when I was in my 30s, my whole life centered around not having to work after I retired from the military. And on a worst case basis. Like if the world went to shit so I wanted a paid off house, I wanted a bunch of different passive income sources, I wanted all that kind of stuff. And so I always have had worst case scenario. And worst case scenario, I just go get a job. I don't care. I'm not too proud to go work at an Amazon fulfillment center. I would enjoy doing something like that, So, I mean, I keep my law degree, I can go be a lawyer somewhere, although AI is probably going to replace lawyers over the next 15 years. So lawyers are probably going to be a thing of the past anyway, which is probably a good thing, right? A lot of people would say, but yeah, it's all about for me, it's all about building in for me, I'm a very risk adverse person. So I have tons of safety nets. I worked way longer. I didn't have to work after I retired from the military. I had substantial passive income from my dividend portfolio and my military retirement. And at that time I had multiple rental properties that cash flowed. They weren't all paid off, but a couple of them were. And so I had multiple different ways to support myself. But I always wanted to go to law school. I always wanted to be a lawyer. So that's what I did. But yeah. Don't sell your stocks and do an annuity, tax liability. Yeah, the tax liability would, I mean, I have a lot of capital gains because some of my dividend stocks I've owned since 1994, like Johnson & Johnson. And so the capital gains would be at the low end of the capital gains level, 15%, but I have a ton of capital gains. That would be a consideration for sure. But I've thought about it I like ease of life. And in my mind, I'm I could just sell everything, buy an annuity, make a significant amount of monthly income with the annuity and my military retirement, and not have to think about anything. So, do I still think about different income stream properties? Yeah, I read a book recently called Multiple Streams of Income, but it wasn't really focused on passive income, which I'm more focused on. When I first started doing this YouTube channel, you guys will remember I taught English online as a form of income. It was back when my YouTube channel didn't make any money. And I taught for VIP Kid. And I would make $2,000 to $3,000 a month doing that. Pretty easily, actually. It wasn't a tough job. It was a really easy job. And I liked exploring those options. But now I like truly passive income, and like the only really truly passive income out there nowadays, to be honest with you, is some form of pension, which is like totally passive after you're done doing whatever service you have to do, and dividend income. Those are the only ones that are, I mean, I still have to pay attention to my dividend stocks, you know. Like I owned Walgreens and it went to crap, and you know, so there are some that I have to pay attention to, but it's pretty passive. Like in the past couple of years, I bought a bunch of monthly payers. So I have a significant portion of my dividend income that are monthly payers. And so almost every day I'm getting money deposited into my account, almost every single day. And it's crazy to see. Like every day I at least get enough to pay for my food for the entire day, at least that amount. You know, like on the first of the month and like at the very end of the month, it's much bigger numbers because a lot of people pay on those days, or sometimes the 15th of the month. But some of the ones I own, like some of the different monthly payer funds I own, will pay on like the 5th or the 6th or the 7th, almost every single day. My phone is being used for this, but I was going to pull up like, I have this like app I use that tracks that. But I can't believe it. Like every morning I wake up and there's like more money in my account. It's like ridiculously passive income. And, you know, I just have to pay attention to it. Make sure that, you know, there's no reason that the company would cut the dividend, or if it's like a covered called ETF, that it's not, they're not eating the NAV value of the ETF to where at some point it's going to be worthless. You know, stuff like that. I have to pay attention to that stuff, but it's like, it's not a lot of work. And it's stuff I actually enjoy. So I was a financial advisor for 25 years, then worked at a hedge fund, and finally a venture capitalist. Yeah, you went the money route, man. You were like me when I was a lawyer. I worked in corporate law firms. I started off as a juvenile defense attorney and then was like, I'm gonna go make some money. If I'm gonna have to be at work 18 hours a day, let me go make some money. You wanna hear what's funny though? My first year as a corporate lawyer, I made double what I made as an E9, the highest rank you can be, a command master chief of a carrier strike group with, you know, 13,000 people as part of my charge. I made more money in my very first year as a corporate lawyer than I made. I always thought that was like super screwed up. Like I made over double what I made at the highest enlisted rank in the military with tons of people working for me. Like, I mean, just when I was at a squadron, I had 220 people working for me, you know. When I was on an aircraft carrier, I ran a department of 500 people. And as a lawyer, I was doing like secretarial work and making double what I made as an E9. That's not, life is not fair sometimes. It blew my mind. And the work, like lawyer work, don't let anybody fool you and say lawyer work is hard. It's really not hard. It's time consuming, but it's easy ass work. It's easy work. It just takes time to do. You have to write stuff, you have to research stuff, it takes time. It's nothing like working on, you know, being on a deployment in the military, like as far as quality of life. It's nothing like that. It's ridiculously easy. My law firm had a chef that made us food, you know, and like, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Life's a Beach says, but you don't have to pay rent, food, clothing, and medical in the military. That is not true. So you're going to pay rent because you don't want to live in your unit. You'll figure that out right away. You don't want to live in the barracks. Now you will get money for that, but it's just, the money you get for rent just brings you up to the civilian level, basically. So you'll get like BAH or whatever for the area you're in. and that'll pay for your rent. Your food, you still have to buy food. You do get an allowance for that, but nobody eats on base once they, get past like the beginning of their military career. Nobody eats on base. Nobody lives in the barracks. Once you can move out of the barracks, you move out of the barracks. And I guess it's nicer now. From what I hear, it's actually like much nicer. But when I was in the barracks and eating on base, not good. It was not good. So as soon as I could move off base, I did. I got an apartment, and I lived with 4 other friends. That's how we made it work in Hawaii. 4 of us living in a place because we didn't get a lot of BAH and didn't make a lot of money. But clothing, yes, you get your uniform paid for. You get a uniform allowance, but you spend way more money than that on ribbons, and you spend way more money than you get. And medical, that is the one thing. Like, that's one thing that I'm thankful for all the time, that I've never had to deal with that in my life. I joined the military straight out of high school, so I've never had to deal with like not having government health care. Like, I feel like I live in Switzerland or somewhere like that. I've always had government health care. The government has always provided me with health care. So I've never had to worry. It's never been a worry for me or something I think about. I just go to the hospital when I need to go. I've never had to think about it. So I feel very fortunate in that respect. And if you do 20 years in the military, that continues. I did decide on the private option instead of going to bases for my military care. I wanted to pick my own civilian doctor. So I do have to pay I have to pay a monthly fee, but it's only like $15 a month. Like, it's ridiculously cheap. So, what do you think about chiefs on a littoral ship in the South China Sea with Starlink? I saw that. That was really, that's bad. Yeah. I remember when I joined the Navy, they didn't have dedicated leadership route, where in other branches of the military, the Army, the Marine Corps, you can stay technical or go leadership route. They didn't really have that in the Navy. If you made E9, eventually you could go leadership, you could become a command master chief, but you were still tied to your rating. You still had your rating, which is your job, I guess in the Army, they call it the MOS. You were still attached to that. But later on in the military, and when I hit the E8 level, they allowed you to separate. They allowed you to go leadership or stay technical. I went leadership. I became a command senior chief. I was one of the first actually command senior chiefs. I became a command senior chief, and one of the ships that they had command senior chiefs on, one of the only ships that they had them on, were the new littoral combat ships, and that was the #1 job you wanted, because it would almost guarantee that you would make E9. And I didn't get that job. I was very bitter about it. I actually got a destroyer squadron command senior chief job in 5th Fleet. So I was going to Bahrain. For those that know the military, I was going to go to Bahrain and become the command master chief of destroyer squadron 50, destroyer squadron 50. While I was in school for the leadership program, I got selected for E9, and so they canceled those orders on me. And they sent me to be the command master chief of an F-18 squadron. I was a surface fleet guy. I was a ship guy. I wasn't an aviation guy. But they needed somebody, and so I went F-18 squadron, and so I stuck aviation. I was a command master chief of a carrier strike group, and I was the command master chief of an F-18 squadron. But yeah, when I first joined, they didn't have that. They didn't separate them into leadership or technical. But they did come out with it later, and that's what I did. I went leadership pipeline. All right, I think we're getting into some really weird talks, but do I think enlisted should get free internet in the barracks? Yeah, why not? Why not? Give them free internet. They don't really need it anymore because they all have cell phones and their cell phones have internet on them, and most of them have hotspots, so they can just hotspot it. So they really don't need it anymore, in my opinion. Probably not. But I mean, if they can put internet in there and it's low cost, I mean, the government's already paying internet service providers, so just tell them to put it in there, and it'll probably be free anyway. They'll probably just include it with it. So, yeah, I mean, the more you can do for the junior enlisted's quality of life, the better. It's actually a tough life, being junior enlisted. It's a pretty, you do all the shitty work, you don't get paid much money at all, you get yelled at all the time, you know, it's not an easy life. So as many things as you can do for them, you should, in my opinion. That's just me, but I'm a little bit of a softie when it comes to that. All right, I think I'm going to call this a live stream. Thanks everyone for joining. Sorry it devolved into some political discussion and stuff like that. But love you guys. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see a lot of you that I haven't seen you for a while. But yeah, thanks.